Well, Troy Lee is in the building. And mate, this is episode 300. Did you ever imagine the race team would be as successful as what it was?
It's a dream come true to have a race team, especially from a motorcycle and clothing company. I think we're the only ones that have our own team. You know, just being honest here, that sometimes they get a lot of testing in for the outdoor over there in Austria, but we don't get much Supercross testing. They give it to us and say, hey, adjust this thing.
Is it profitable to run a race team in 2024?
You know, I end up losing a little money every year on it, but if we get so much marketing out of it, for sure it makes our product better. People are, I thought you were retired. I thought you were going to retire. When do you retire? I'm like, I can't tell Jeff Ford or even Shaun Palmer or Scott Dixon or Jeremy McGrath. I can't tell them, no, I'm not painting helmets anymore. That just can't happen. I have to paint helmets till I'm dead.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by AG1. I want to give a big personal thank you for their help in getting me to the start line at Glen, Helen for the World Vets. It was a real bucket list thing for me, and I spent all of 2023 training for it. I may have skipped a couple of runs and had a few off days at the track, but one thing I didn't skip all year was a morning started with AG1. Consistency is everything in health and fitness, and one scoop of AG1 with water first thing in the morning, every morning, played a massive role in getting me on the start line. I feel more energized, I have better digestion, and I have a higher sense of general well-being as a result. That's because every scoop includes things such as B vitamins for energy support, probiotics for gut support, and vitamin C and zinc for immune support. And while all of these attributes make AG1 a real no-brainer, you can try it and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/Gypsy Tales and keep an eye out for our World Vets content dropping here on our YouTube channel soon.
Gypsy.
Well, Troy Lee is in the building. And mate, I've wanted to do this one for a very long time. And I don't know if Carly told you, but this is episode 300.
Yeah, that's cool. I was sitting right next to Caparassi's suit and helmet today in my office. I have it hanging, and he gave me his suit and helmet from his 300 start in MotoGP. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a cool one for me. I've got don't even really know where to start. Like, you're so iconic in this world that we're in, whether it's mountain bikes, whether it's motorsports, Supercross. Like, it's just what you've done as an artist, and then as a businessman, and in racing, and in just everywhere that you've kind of gone. Like, it's so cool and it's so iconic. It's something I've always looked up to. But I remember as a kid racing mountain bikes in Cairns. Troy Lee Design's D2 carbon fiber helmet was about as cool as it got. That was it. That was like the peak. From where I come from, that was like the peak thing that you could have. And I never had one, but I did have a pair of red Troy Lee Design riding shorts. I saved up all my pocket money to get them, and I literally never rode a mountain bike without them. So it's
Cool.
It's very, very cool to have you on the podcast. And
thanks for having me here, man. It's an honor too.
Bit of a milestone show too, 300, and
yeah,
it's
super cool. Stoked to be here.
Thanks, mate.
That's awesome.
We were talking about you're busy still. A lot of people might find that, I don't know whether people would think that you'd be kind of just retired somewhere and just kind of enjoying life, but you're still in the thick of it.
Yeah, I keep thinking about retiring and what that would be like. But gosh, I mean, I work with so many of my cool friends, and they're doing so many cool things. And every time I talk to, I'm working on some stuff for Scott Dixon today, and making a plan for Chip Ganassi this weekend at the thermal race, and delivering some stuff for New Garden, some new stickers and some new artwork. And he just won the first Indy Car race, and pulling some stuff together for next year. I'm always working on 25 and 26. So sometimes, it's fun because I get to work way out in front on things here. So I get to kind of dream about some projects and not afraid to dream and not afraid to swing at things. So it's always, I like a big challenge, and that's what my whole life is. I want something that that hasn't been accomplished, in the past, and going, you know what, I'm going to see if I can accomplish this. And I got a great group around me that's letting me try all sorts of crazy things. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. And I think, you kind of like Glen Jacobs, for example, right? So it's like very, very close to me. And he's I guess like a similar guy in a sense, like he's an artist at heart, like he designs mountain bike trails now. That's his art.
Yeah.
But it's like he's in his 60s and he rides mountain bikes every day and he designs trail. And it's like retirement is probably a weird word for a person that just loves what they do. You know, it's like, what would you do if you quote unquote retired? It's like you probably feel like you're a very busy retired guy for like a very long time almost.
Yeah, I get bored really quick. I mean, last night I decided I'm going to put a adventure ride up from my house in Portugal. I bought a house with my wife and kids a couple of years ago, and now I'm like, we're going to do an adventure ride from Lisbon to Porto.
Oh,
so it's just, and then I'm like, well, who am I going to invite? I'm like, well, shoot, I'm going to invite Jeff Ward and Jeremy McGrath, and we'll all fly in. It'll be the Rat Pack, on motorcycles, So it's fun just kind of always just putting new things in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for me, like, even when I kind of look at the podcast, it's like, this is like obviously my job. I love doing it. I do it for free. But then all the other things that I do, like racing World Vets, or, we just did our Gypsy 500 race in Mesquite, and it's like,
cool.
It's all just shit I kind of want to do. So I just like figure out how to make it kind of work and, integrate some things into it. And you just kind of end up like living the lifestyle you want to live almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, you surround myself with the people that I want to hang out with, and they're all a bunch of adventurists and racers, and they've always got new things going on. So somehow I try to slip something in and try to make them, a little bit cooler than they were, and just try to reinvent some things,
Yeah.
which is always fun.
And I think one of the cool things as well, like we met at Le Mans MotoGP a couple of years ago. And I think that was the first time we like actually properly met. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking away from the conversation, like you were frothing over some Moto 2 dude that was just out on track, and you have those moments with people where you're like, oh fuck, that's why he's the dude he is. Like you just fully love the shit so much, and it came across in like that one conversation,
Yeah, it's always about the backstories, It's like talking to I was talking to Scott Dixon last week here, and it's like he's telling me what he's thinking about racing this year, and same with Newgarden. They're going, this is what I'm planning to do, and they're asking me what's going on at Thermal, man. This is a crazy race this weekend. It's $1 million purse, and they're splitting it up. And I talked to Oriel Survey. He's driving the pace car, and he's going, I'm not sure what we're doing, but we're going to pull this off. So it's just racers are always pulling things off, and kind of winging it, and being really spontaneous, and that's always fun and exciting too.
Yeah. So let's go back to the very start. Where did all this start for you? You're just a motorsports guy at heart from the early days.
Yeah, I mean, it started really probably with my grandfather back in 1940. Gosh, what was it? 48, 49. He kind of started. He wanted to get everybody off the streets of Pasadena and he took them up to Bonneville and started Bonneville and did the first Bonneville races up there. I have the program from 1949.
No way, your granddad started that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't really have a choice. I was born into this, So, and then my dad raced Speedway, and my grandfather owned a car lot in Pasadena and sold used cars and used to pinstripe them. And then my dad learned pinstripe, and then I learned pinstriping. So I basically started out as racing motorcycles and pinstriping and lettering my own helmets. And then I started doing, Goat Breckers and Danny Magoo's and Jeff Ward's, and never really looked back, still doing the same thing and hoping I get to paint another helmet tomorrow.
That's so sick. What was Pasadena like back then?
I was a little kid back then, but I don't know. I love Pasadena, going up there right now. It's a cool little town.
It is a cool town.
Yeah,
man.
It's cool. It's got a lot of cool shops to go into. And I go up there every couple months. I love going. I still love shopping myself. Drives my wife nuts sometimes.
What kind of stuff are you shopping for?
I go to pawn shops and just everything. Anything that's interesting, is I just seem like I always get ideas. Bookstores, clothing stores, sign shops. Pasadena's got one of those towns where you just kind of go, what are they selling in here? Wow, this is cool.
Yeah. It's like very LA, but it's obviously not LA. It's like kind of got its own
has a little more history too. I don't know. The houses and the architecture there is really cool. I don't know. It has a cool vibe to it. I mean, I really love Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach has got like 140 art galleries, man. It's just so inspiring to go for a run or a bicycle ride. I just keep wanting to turn in the stores to see all the different art, you know?
Yeah. How long have you guys lived in Laguna?
About 20 years now.
Really?
I kind of started there, though. I started with Jim Busby, and I just redid his whole... Jim Busby is where I kind of started. I painted my first helmet for him. I was kind of a gypsy, really. We lived in a camper and my dad raced motorcycles and speedway, and we pulled in behind there with our camper and my dad started drawing Jim Busby's race cars, and he was doing Le Mans and the 24 hours and Daytona, and I was, 14 years old, kind of pulled me out of school too. We were traveling and just started painting his cars and helmets so yeah, a couple of years ago, I started helping him restore his whole museum and putting all of his trophies and cars up, and he really gave me my start on helmets, because I painted my helmets, his helmets, and I really started painting more race car helmets, and then I really didn't start making. My mom finally told me in 1981 that you need to get a license and you need to come up with a name for your company. So. And it wasn't my idea to name my company Troy Lee. She printed me business cards, and I went, well, I'm not handing those out, Mom. It's got to be something cool, not my own name, But she did me a big favor.
Yeah. Oh, man, like talk about a guy that, like a name that could be a brand, like there's not my name could not be a brand. Like it's not cool at all, Like, yeah, you definitely, I guess that's one of life's like great serendipitous things to.
Yeah, I was named really after a flat track racer in 1961. I was in my mom's belly at Ascot, and this is what the story is, and I met the guy too. But there was another Troy Lee, the original. I'm the second one.
Troy Lee the second.
And he won that night at Ascot, and he won the AMA championship in 1961, and I was still in my mom's belly, and our last name was Lee, and my dad said, that has a nice ring to it. Let's name him Troy, and he won tonight. So simple as that.
And you've just been winning ever since.
Yeah, still trying to win. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Was helmet painting a big thing when you started doing it?
No, I was really kind of the only one that was doing it. I mean, there was a guy up at Bell doing some a little bit. Von Dutch painted some helmets that I always looked at.
Yeah,
my dad
right.
painted helmets, but it was just pinstripe and a name and number, and that's kind of where I started. The first helmets were $40, and I'd put a name and some pinstripes on them, and then I started realizing that, there's the motocross sport and car racing is, you really need to take care of the sponsors first, and then add the pinstriping and a name on it, I mean, a lot of people were just doing it with electrical tape and, having their local sign shop do it. So I think I was kind of the first one to say, hey, I'm going to specialize in this,
Yeah.
And my mom always believed in me. It was really cool. She helped me buy my first compressor, and she split everything I did. You're going to buy a spray gun? Okay, I'll pay for half of it, So it was awesome. She always believed in what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing because I was kind of, saying, man, I'm going to paint helmets, and there's nobody doing it, so the market's all mine.
Yeah. Did you have aspirations to be a racer, or like you kind of knew that you...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was my goal. And really, helmets kept showing up, and I was trying to race. I was riding for Pro Circuit at the time, Mitch Payton.
Really?
And I was really welding pipes for him. And then enough helmets, I did a little... I did the Motocross Action orange helmets for Jody Weisel.
Yeah,
and
right.
he gave me a little business card ad in Motocross Action. And I'd come home from welding pipes, and... I was painting them at Mitch Payton's parents' house in Norco. And I'm like, my dad was an artist. My grandfather was a pinstriper. I think I'd rather be painting than welding pipes. And really, welding pipes was really fun. I mean, to do the welding right and cut the cones.
Kind of ssimilar to pinstriping in a sense.
Yeah,
like very detailed.
It's very detailed.
Yeah.
If you can weld that together without any rod, just, burn it and puddle the metal. It was... I really want to show my kids that now too. My son's 23 now, and he runs the race team. And we were just talking about it last night. My younger son is 16. Dylan, and I said, man, I want to teach you guys how to gas weld. It's cool to gas weld.
Yeah. And so how far did you take racing?
I mean, I turned pro and I raced a couple nationals. Washougal, I think, was my best finish, but I didn't qualify for any Supercross ever. Man, the whoops just killed me. But I got to race a couple Supercrosses, and I raced Sacramento and Washougal, a couple nationals, and I'd make enough money running around racing, Corona Raceway at night and Ascot and Saturday Saddleback, and then Sunday we'd go wherever the biggest purse was,
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of ran into, Jeff Ward and Ricky Johnson and Bailey and Magoo and just Goat Brecker gave me a good, he always helped, believed in me a lot too, man. He was always up, hooking me up, going, oh, you got to paint this guy's helmet. You got to paint this guy's helmet. So it's fun. It was cool.
It's wild to think about the little, I guess, like group of you guys, like between you and Mitch and, some of these early California guys that like Jody even,
Yep.
with MXA, like
Yep.
you guys really shaped not the scene, like the culture of racing and the culture of what's cool, like what looks cool, the vibe that comes along with it. Because, I think I know so many athletes in so many different sports, you do as well, and they all look at Supercross as like it's so cool. And you guys had such a hand in like creating that.
Yeah, it was fun. Supercross has gone a long ways, man. It was really fun working with all the athletes, man. That's I think being a pro racer and not making it made me work twice as hard for those guys because I had so much respect for them, because I'm like, man, I tried this and couldn't get there, man. Every one of them, I wanted to paint their helmet and ask them, what's the secret? How are you twice as fast as me?
Yeah. No, I mean, I just think, California, like, and especially from a kid like me, like I grew up in Australia on the other side of the world and I just looked at California for so long. And, like On Any Sunday was so iconic in my house and all of the Terra Firma movies and like just everything that kind of came out of here, it just set the tone for what the sport became everywhere in the world, and it all kind of came out of this little SoCal pocket, and it was a handful of guys.
Yeah, no, that's what everybody says. I mean, definitely has a hot rod scene in Southern California, cool surfing scene, and definitely Southern California is a place on the planet for sure. But I always try to look everywhere else around the world for ideas,
Yeah.
So and then bring them back and then twist them and how can I do this again? And, but no, it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, man. No, I can't even imagine. So I guess it's obviously so different now being in California, and I get the world's different, but like has the essence of California kind of stayed the same in that sense, do you think, or it's just so different to how it used to be?
I don't know. I think Southern California is still a really cool place. Just like I said, I mean, I live in Laguna Beach. I love it. Every time I get on a plane, once I get on the plane, I forget about it. But driving to the airport going, why am I leaving Laguna Beach? Why am I leaving Southern California? It's got everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go surf, mountain bike, moto, ski, everything from Southern California here, And it's really a good place to... Seems like everybody always visits. So everybody, all my racers around the world, it seemed like always end up coming to Southern California, and always check into all the hotels. So there's in Laguna Beach is amazing for hotels and restaurants, and I think a lot of our athletes are mountain bikers come, and the downhill trails and stuff in Laguna Beach are amazing. Tolonix is one of the most famous trails. Still not open. It's still not legal, but everybody races it.
Yeah.
I usually try to ride it once a week at least. And there's some, there's a lot of cool little factory car shops and motorcycle shops, suspension shops, and there's just cool things happening in Southern California for sure.
What do you have you ever thought about why that is?
I think that I think they kind of build on top of each other. This is a really cool paint shop. This is a really cool fabricating shop. This is a cool, even like Thermal and some of the tracks that are popping up in Southern California. I went out and drove at Thermal with my buddy Kyle Washington and his Porsches, and That place is amazing right now. Now it's having an Indy Car race there, and they're trying to figure out how to squeeze it in this weekend. It's no points, but they put $1 million purse together. They're going to probably have to split the field into two fields because they can't let 30 Indy cars on the track at once. And but God, they put a really cool test shops in and houses in, and even I went out to Chuck Wall, and it was like with my buddy from Sony, Josh, and we drove vintage Porsches out there. So, I mean, they just keep, it seems like, I think Southern California never slows down. They're always just keep building cool stuff,
Yeah. So true. Hey, I'm just going to check this camera real quick just to. Yeah, I moved here in, I guess, like 2011 when I did my first stint here, and then went back to Australia in like 2018 and spent 5 years there in like COVID and everything like that. And then I got back here in July, and it's just like, it's crazy. Just the amount of stuff that's going on at all times here. And, like everyone's pushing, everyone's like-minded, everyone's really, everyone's always down to like do some shit.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think that it just has like this momentum about it. And, we're off to Dubai on Saturday, and, I'm just like, damn, like I feel like I'm missing out on like all the stuff that's like going on. And I just think, maybe it's to do with like the weather and the beaches, and maybe it's all the things that you kind of can do. And it's like, if you build it, they will come. And it's like, it's just got so much here. It just generates its own momentum maybe.
I feel like Southern California has always got kind of an arty side to it. And I feel like it also has a lot of horsepower, It's like, it's this things are just moving forward.
Yeah.
If you want to get something done, you can get it done. I mean, you can go to, probably Hollywood has a lot to do with it. The
That's
studios,
true. Yeah.
But there's fabricators and designers and artists and everybody, I think I go to Portugal and it slows down. I love it. My heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down and everything else. But then I'm bored after about 3 or 4 days. I'm like, oh my God, I got to do something,
Yeah.
But Southern California it seems like every day I go to work, there's like 3 more things on the table.
Yeah.
Really? This opportunity? Awesome. Let's take it. Let's run with it. Let's see what we can do,
Yeah. How long have you guys been going to Portugal?
We bought a house like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a factory over now that's that I've joined over there.
Okay.
With a 2-ride group. And we're making street helmets. We're going to start launching those in the next couple of weeks, really.
Oh, wow.
I've been working on for a couple of years, yeah.
Epic.
Yeah. So it's kind of a dream come true, and it's really cool to diversify a little bit, not have everything made overseas in China and Vietnam. I mean, they've done an amazing job, and the people do a beautiful work over there, but I just feel like I shouldn't have all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And it's nice to go to Portugal, into a factory over there that I'm part owners in, and look at the water decals and look at the testing labs and wind tunnel testing and everything. And it's cool. It's another dream come true. I'm like, I get to do my own street helmets. It's awesome.
That is really, congrats, man.
Yeah,
That's cool. I had no idea that was coming.
It's going to be good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Portugal, I haven't been to Portugal. I got friends that live in Portugal, and that's very, very, very high on my list of places to go.
It's awesome. I highly recommend it.
And whereabouts are you in Portugal?
I'm in Malveira de Serra, which is right in between Sintra. I'm right next to Estoril, the old racetrack.
Okay.
Yeah, like I can get up and have a coffee in the morning, walk outside and hear, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, I got to go check out. And it's a cool track. I mean, I'm hoping they keep it. The hotel's all dilapidated. I was even told my wife, I'm like, wow, we should buy this hotel here and rebuild it next to the racetrack, But got a lot of history there. Senna and Nigel Mansell won some of the first races there. And it's I haven't gone around in a car yet on it. That's my next thing. But it's cool. It's a cool, and right out of our house we can mountain bike. And there's like 62 trails of mountain biking. That's how I found the house.
Oh wow!
Riding mountain bikes down from the Penna Castle at the top of the hill where we live.
Yeah.
So a really insane castle. So I never thought I'd have my neighbor's a castle.
Yeah, that is bizarre,
like,
right?
That's cool.
Yeah. Now I just think that like Spain, Portugal, like that part of the world, they've really got some shit figured out.
Yeah. Spain's really nice too. Yeah, I'm going to go over there and go to a couple of the MXGPs over there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Will you do any MotoGP stuff this year?
I'm going to go to a couple of them, I think. I haven't tried to really figure out. I mean, Texas is probably the easiest one, but I want to go to some of the European rounds that I haven't gone to. Right now, that is one thing on my list. I do want to go see some countries that I haven't seen. Just you know what, let's go to some new tracks and see more of the world.
What GPs are you gonna hit?
I haven't decided yet here. I need to look at it and see. I know. I mean, for sure, Texas.
Like the MXGP. Sorry.
Oh, MXGP. Oh, I'm gonna go to Prado's hometown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then there's one that's like an hour and a half away from my house in Portugal. Yeah. Which I went to last year, so I'll probably go to that one. I don't know. I'm trying to find some. I'm trying to put some more play in. My family's coming. We're gonna go take a month off of there. Take the whole family over there because we're like 10 minutes from the beach too. So yeah. My daughter loves to surf, and my young son, loves the mountain bike. So I have twins that are 16, boy and girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. Trentino is beautiful.
Yeah.
If you can go to Arco, that's incredible. Okay. And like beautiful food, like the drive there. I think I flew into Milan last year to go to that race. I think I flew into Milan, got a rental car. It was like a 2.5 hour drive from memory, and all through like the Italian Alps. It was just unbelievable, and the track is it's the most picturesque. I mean, kind of a shitty racetrack. Like I don't think the guys really enjoy the dirt and enjoy racing it. But from a fan's perspective, it was just incredible. Yeah. And then the tiny little town, and then you just go in, and it's just the Italian cheese boards and pasta and bread and wine, and awesome. So that would be if the timeline lines up. Right. That could be a good one.
Yeah, I need to pencil out my schedule a little bit more here. Yeah, I'm kind of timing things. I'm starting to time things with what I want to do. Yeah. Where can I play? I just decided not to race Mammoth this year, which I always race Mammoth. Mammoth is always one of my favorite tracks to race. And I've been going there since I was a little kid with my dad. And we just decided, let's take the month off and go to Portugal and skip Mammoth. So I'm like, so.
That's cool. Yeah. I really wanted to race Mammoth this year. I don't think I definitely won't. I'm gonna be away.
Have you done it before?
No, I never have. I actually went. I went last year. Maybe one of the coolest weekends of my life. Yeah. So I just got back to the US. I'd been away for 5 years, and Berriman, it was his birthday that weekend. Yep. McGrath was racing. We had some other friends racing as well. We got up there Friday. We did this epic trail bike, like dual sport ride. We rode all day. Yep. And then we had like great dinner. All the boys got up and went to the track early. Me and my mate Steve, we stayed back. We had coffee in town. Epic little breakfast. We watched the motocross, like the AMA. Went to the track for Jeremy's last moto. He wins the overall, and then that night we all went out for Tyler's birthday. Jeremy showed up, and it was like just the sickest little weekend. Yeah, I'm like, I need to come back here, and I actually want to do that race, but this year it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's fun. You can go ride and practice all week up there, and then go fishing too. I love fishing, fly fishing. So it's like, the streams and everything are a bit, it's like you're racing in like Switzerland or something, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a crazy place. Yep. How was the Prado experience for you, having him come over and race with the team? It was pretty epic.
Yeah. I mean, another dream come true. I mean, when there was the opportunity, I'm like, I'd love to do more with the guy. He's an amazing man. He's really fit in with our team well, and good family, and it's just a fun guy to go have dinner with. And like, he just texted me this morning. He said, "You're coming to my home race, man. I'm taking you to go. I'm going to give you the best lobster on the planet." I'm like, "Wow, cool. Okay, I'll be there."
Yeah, he's an incredibly nice person. Yeah, just really a very, very genuinely nice person.
Yep. Whole family is too, and it's just good for our sport. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, he did really good.
Yeah,
like real. I mean, he won a heat race. It was a mud race, but like, bro, that's unheard of.
And his attitude just amazing. Going, I'll be better. Coming and telling. It's like, I love when riders are telling. That Barcia's like that too. I'll be faster. You don't have to. One of the people you don't have to push. Yeah. Or somebody's like, come on, get your shit together, man. Like, you don't have to tell those two to get their shit together.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine the race team would be as successful as what it was? Because it really started with Supermoto and X Games. Really?
Yeah, I started Supermoto playing around with Scott Russell and Jeff Ward and Jeremy, and they were starting that new series, and Red Bull was sponsoring it, and said, we were having so much fun riding Supermoto. I'm like, wow, I want to race too. So we started there. And then 2008, the economy got really bad, and Honda didn't want to give us any bikes for Supermoto. And then we kind of branched into an West Coast 250. I had toolboxes and trailers and a dyno, and I'm like, well, let's try to do West Coast. And, I'm still trying to make it successful. I think we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, I love it. It's it's a dream come true to have a race team, especially from a motorcycle and clothing company. I think we're the only ones that have our own team, and having, Roger DeCosta and give us the opportunity on, Ray Blank gave me the opportunity on Honda. And then after that, Roger gave me the opportunity on KTM. And then after that, they came and said, we bought Gas. Would you be interested? And I said, if you help me with a 450 rider, I'm interested. And so, yeah. It's cool. I mean, it's definitely, that's what I love about it, is when I love doing the toolboxes, the bike stands, the trailer, the gear, the helmets, and working with all the sponsors. And, I'm trying to do that right now with Chip Ganassi. He's a good friend of mine. I'm like, let's see how we can pull something together, man. I'm helping your IndyCar guys, and you love motorcycles, and let's see if we can somehow join this thing together,
Oh, really? That'd be super cool.
Yeah, it's a dream that I'm trying to pull off here.
Yeah. There is a lot of crossover in terms of interest.
For sure.
With people that watch Supercross. I think that was one thing. I mean, when I started this podcast, I had no idea what it was going to turn into, but I had no idea the type of people that would reach out to me because of listening to this podcast, that were from IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One, MotoGP, downhill, like just everyone came out of the woodworks. Yeah. It's like, I fucking love Supercross. Like, thanks for doing this. Like, it's so cool to like hear these guys. And I've been in the sport my entire life, and I had no idea the outside interest, like the people that would watch our sport and think these guys are incredible.
Yeah. It's. I mean, when you put Supercross on, it's intense. You can't. It's hard to walk away from it, because you're just going, dude, these guys are doing crazy things for 20 laps. Are they going to make that triple? Are they going to stay in that rut?
Yeah.
It's exciting. I mean, I know all the IndyCar guys always when I go to the pits to the IndyCar races, man, they're all in watching, Supercross, and they want to know the results and what's going on. And matter of fact, last weekend we just, Chip let us build all of our bikes in his shop at the IndyCar shop.
Wow.
After Saturday night, we got to pull into his, Chip Ganassi's race shop and build all. So it was really cool to see. I love when you see our mechanics, they get excited, and their mechanics, and they all start talking together. And we got some pictures of all Chip's IndyCars on the wall and our bikes in front of it. It's like pretty cool. That's what I really love putting together, is pulling two things that you wouldn't think would come together and trying to make it happen.
Yeah. And I think you've done that forever throughout your career, like to go, you obviously, like, you start with the helmet painting, but then, like I said, I was actually explaining to my wife last night, like, just how iconic you are in the sport, and like what you did. And like I said to her, when the D2 came out, it made every other helmet look 10 years old. Like the day that it came out, and it's like to go from just painting helmets to making helmets, and then you made this thing, like, honestly, that was art, that helmet. Like, it was so beautiful. Like, I could look at one of those helmets from 2001, 2000, and it still looks good today.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you've always been like the mountain bike thing, the BMX thing. Like, you've always looked for these other lanes to like have your influence in.
I think I try to look at, it almost helps me when I go work with, IndyCar, NASCAR, and motocross and mountain bike and all these different sports and MotoGP. And then, because each one of these segments you get to pull a little bit from, you're going, oh, we're wind tunnel testing. I'm like, whoa. So I'm working right now on the new SE6, and the new D5, so it's like I'm taking some things from the wind tunnel testing going, I'm going to pull this in. And the main thing is I just try to make everything I do look faster. I mean, if you can I just was working on the inside of a new liner for one of our new helmets right now. And I'm like, the liner's not fast enough. Just speed it up. Let's stretch this, stretch this. And they're like, okay, we'll take it back to the drawing board. So if you make things look fast, then people put it on their heads.
Yeah. Look fast, go fast.
Yep.
So what was the process? So in doing some research, I never knew that you started when you basically went out into your own, you got your own shop. You basically you had to do a bunch of work for an aviation company to basically use your own space.
I started, my mom and dad were getting a divorce. So me and my sister and my mom were moving out. So we bought a little house. We all put a little money together, a couple grand a piece, and moved into a little house. And then I moved into the garage because they lived in the front house. And then I was working too many hours. I was working till 2 a.m. every night, painting as many helmets as I could. And I got kicked out of there. And so I had to moved into the Corona airport, and I had to do 50% of the 50% of my work had to be aviation work. So I was painting helmets and painting airplanes, and doing jet skis and doing, everything else. But I had to keep popping out and painting airplanes and putting tail numbers on them, and which is kind of fun anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's out in the, the wind and, at nights with lights on and painting helicopters. But that's how they let me rent the place. So I was there, but by the time I left there, I had 4 buildings. I had one doing visors, one building doing stickers, one doing T-shirts, and one doing helmets. And then the next step was I ended up buying a building with Mitch Payton, a little cul-de-sac where they were going to build these buildings down from where his pro circuit building is. And we bought it over a bottle of Wild Turkey, so we named the street Wild Turkey. It was the scariest thing I ever did, but I followed Mitch's lead. He bought a building before it did.
To buy that building?
Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this? But it was the best thing I did. Real estate's always been really good to me. So bought the building, and I'll rent part of it out. It was 4,000 square feet, but I did have 4 airplane hangars that I needed to move all my junk to this other building. But and we put a museum in there, and Mitch bought the building next to me for building all of his pipes and everything. But a couple of years later, I was already maxed out, so I ended up buying Mitch's other building, and he needed to buy a bigger building to build more pipes in. And so I bought both of Mitch's buildings, and then I ended up selling the second building to my other buddy from Blink, Travis Barker from Blink 182.
Oh, wow.
He bought my other building, and then I bought the Ganal lumber building, which I started in.
Yeah.
I used to do signs, sandblasted signs, and sell them at the swap meet, no smoking signs and stuff. So I'd go to Ganal, where I am now, and it was a lumber yard, and I'd buy redwood and paint signs and sell them at the swap meets. But now I'm back into the building where I started, so super cool.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it's fun.
When you're an artist and when you're a talented artist, there's often this conundrum of grinding and deadlines and finishing projects. I'm sure a bunch of amazingly creative and talented people that just could never run a business because they'll say oh, I'm right, so I'm too creative. Yeah. I'm not analytical. But you seem, I actually don't know this, but are you the kind of, you're got the right mix, or have you always had people that would help you in that area? Because you'd have to know those people I'm talking about. That it's
sure.
they're the crazy artists that can barely function in society.
Yeah.
And it's you seem to have been this incredible artist that has actually been able to nail the business side.
Yeah, I have some people. I have some people that crazy artists show up with one shoe on. Go, what happened? I can't find the other shoe, but he's there at work. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's way better artist than I am.
Amazing.
So I'm like, okay, here's my sketch, my chicken scratch. Take this and make it beautiful. And he does, So I just I always try to surround myself with super people that are way better than me in every category. I pass out a lot to a lot of different people, and usually it's half drawing and half a bunch of copy to saying this is what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
And then and I just I tell everybody that works for me, it's got to be 20% better than what I gave you.
Yeah.
And most of the people that all work with me always give me something pretty easy to give somebody. I'm not, in some ways I feel like I'm not a great artist. I got a lot of great ideas, but there's all my artists are better than me.
Yeah.
My painters, my pinstripers. That's because I kind of categorize them and go, you're my cartoon, you're my pinstriper, you're my clear, you're my, and you do the gear, you do the helmets, you do the interiors. So I kind of put them in these little pockets and just say, you got to just kick ass in this pocket.
Yeah. But I mean, at the start, it couldn't have been like that. At the start, it was you doing the work.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, I painted helmets by myself for 10 years. And that's what kind of went, whoa, I need to make a product. I mean, Mitch Payton made my first t-shirt for me. And I'm like, and you know, my mom makes my first business card for me. I'm like, no, it's not Troy Lee Designs. That's the worst name in the world. Oh no. I guess it got to be something cool, Mom. And Mitch made me some shirts that said Troy Lee Designs on them, like, because I painted all the pro circuit helmets, and I did all, you know, I did all Mitch's bikes and brought him sponsors, and that's kind of what got me started. I brought him Hansen's Energy, and that turned into Monster, and I brought him PPG, and because I was designing and stuff, and PPG was a great paint company that I worked with that gave me paint, and I'm like, you guys should sponsor Mitch Payton. He's got a race team. This is cool. And the same thing I did with Mark Hall from at the time it was Hansen's, and then we turned it into Monster. And so I did the first helmets with the Monster logos and all that kind of stuff. And then I started handing all this to Mitch, and I went, wait, maybe I should have a race team.
Yeah. How'd your friendship with Mitch start?
Well, that was a funny one. Woo. I knew Mitch. I was racing Suzuki's at the time, but Suzuki wasn't really helping me out at all. So I painted, everything I get, I customize.
Yeah.
So I didn't want a yellow bike, and Suzuki's were yellow. So I painted all my bike white and with candy apple stripes, made leathers from ABC up in LA, go get leathers made. I made my own jerseys, painted my own helmets. So everything was white, and that was this summer anyway. That was a summer of probably like 1989 or so. No, not 79.
Damn.
I painted all my bikes white. They were all yellow, candy apple stripes. My stepdad had a trucking company called Plastic Express, so I lettered Plastic Express on everything, and so everything was perfect to race the Hangtown National. And I come out in the morning, I had an open trailer, and all my plastic's gone. I'm like, my bike's sitting there on the trailer, locked, but all the plastic was gone. Mitch Payton paid Bones and a couple other guys to steal all my plastic off my bike, and I was like, oh my God, my first national, I don't have any plastic left. So that's how we met. I mean, it took a lot of balls for him to steal all my plastic.
So he didn't know you at all, really?
We knew each other a little bit, and I think he knew that this is going to be the funniest thing ever. So it wasn't funny for me, though. I was like, God dang, someone stole all my plastic. Man, I got to race today, man. But we ended up getting it all back, and they helped me bolt it all back on, and then we became great friends after that. I think I slugged him a couple times, too.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, we've done a lot of crazy stuff together.
Yeah, because it seems like he's been quite an influential person in your life.
Yeah, he helped me. Well, I built pipes for him. After that, I did, I raced for him. Then they pulled me off that bike and gave me Huskies. So, I mean, it was the start of a good relationship. You know, we're still good, still love hanging out with him.
He's a cool dude, isn't he?
He's awesome. Yeah. My mom and his mom don't think we should hang out because they say things happen when we hang out.
Like buying buildings after being blind off wild turkey.
Yeah.
That's so good. So when did you decide to go, like, you're doing the helmets, you're doing the, like, what was the early, like, business where it was more than just custom painting? Was it just a slow, gradual process?
Well, I started making visors in my mom's. That's what got me kicked out a little bit. But I was doing helmets for Danny Magoo. He was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he wanted a visor higher and longer. You remember Magoo used to have the big old duckbills up like this. So I started making him special visors.
What did you make him out of?
Out of ABS plastic, and I'd vacuum form them. I made a little mold out of wood and Bondo, and then drilled it and vacuum formed them, and then laid the plastic over the top and plugged a vacuum into it. And I learned how to vacuum form.
No shit.
So I vacuum form them, and then I'd trim them out with scissors and sand them, and then I could make a different one for Amara, a different one for Wardy, and heat them up. Yeah. And then I started finding one that was like, everybody was kind of liking this certain style. So then my mom helped me. She helped me. I went to Japan to make a mold because it was more affordable than making it in America. And my mom split the mold cost with me, and I started sanding them out. You know, I'd do, a dozen a week, hand cut and hand sanded. And then I started going, you know what? I need to make a mold and sell 1,000 of these if I can. So I went and when I got the first sample back from Japan, I went out to Malcolm Smith, and I knew Malcolm a little bit. I rode with him and stuff, and he gave me my first shot. I mean, really, I think he helped me start my company, because he said, I started making them in colors with the little Allens and they're adjustable visors, and he said, I'll take 500 of each colorway. And I'm like, whoa, really? Oh, my God. I couldn't wait to call my mom and say, we got our first customer.
That's a big customer too, really. 500 of each color.
Yeah, he did. Maybe it was 200 of each color, but
I mean, regardless.
Yeah, but I was like, oh my God, how am I going to fill this order? I mean, we worked till 2 or 3 in the morning with hiring neighbor kids, because I was still in the airplane hangar, and packaging them, putting them in visors and putting stickers on them, and going over to the molding company. The guy that makes the ODI grips did all my visors for me. So we mixed special colors, fluorescent colors, and it was a cool experience. I learned a ton about molding and making visors and all that kind of stuff. So then I never really still making, then I went, wow, we're making visors. When am I making helmets, So,
yeah. What, did you go to Japan to actually?
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was cool. I love Japan. Yeah. It's awesome. It was definitely eye-opening. And
yeah. What it like to just spend your life in Southern California to then go and do business in Japan as a young guy? Like, I'm sure that was a pretty formative experience.
I started doing some work for Shoei. So my first trip over there was to meet with Shoei. So it wasn't
super foreign.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I've been here before. But then when I went over there to see where the factory was going to make this thing that gave me the price on the molds and everything, it was wild. They had injection mold machines on 4x4s and plastic roof, plastic sets over 2x4s. And I'm like, this is really it. And they'd have this couple $100,000 injection mold machine with tarps over it and everything. Even when the car drove up to drop me off, I remember going, hang here for a minute. This can't be
the one.
Yeah, this can't be the place, man.
Yeah, man. I was watching a video come up on Instagram the other day of this is how tennis balls are made. And man, you see a tennis ball, you think there must just be some machine where you pour some shit in and some tennis balls come out on a conveyor belt. But man, it was such a ghetto process, and in every step of the way that they were manufacturing this tennis ball, I was thinking this can't be how you get a finished tennis ball. But so much manufacturing is like that. We dude, a cool ride that you should do one day is through Vietnam. Have you ever been to Vietnam?
Yeah, no, I have. We have some factories there that make our gloves and stuff.
Have you ever ridden through the country?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. So you know, man, what an incredible place.
I don't know how they don't kill each other on those bikes. Those intersections.
It's insane.
I mean, there's no stops, and there's this, and they got stacked with chickens and tires and clothing, and it's going to get sewed in this factory. It's it's wild as anything.
It is wild. Yeah. But we did this ride. A good friend of ours, he actually owns a motorcycle tour company over there. Mm-hmm. And so we do 10 days.
Oh, awesome.
It's the Top Gear ride, the Top Gear episode. So you ride all through the West Ho Chi Minh Trail Road, and it's just unbelievable. It's so awesome. Beautiful. But one of the days we pulled up and there was a chopstick factory. And man, just exactly what you spoke, just tarps. It was mostly women working there. Yeah. But there was just this one old Vietnamese dude, jacked as fuck. And he was I can't remember exactly what he was doing, but he was the one dude doing all the physical work.
Yeah.
But yeah, just 100,000 chopsticks coming out of this place every single day. And it was just off the side of a road with tarps all over it, a tin shed roof.
Yeah.
And they were just doing work.
Yeah. I love going and seeing manufacturing. It's fun. Now that you said that tennis ball, I'm like, whoa, how do they get that fuzz on there? How do they, it's
Man, I should try and find the video and send it to you.
Check it out when I leave. Yeah.
But it was all, basically it looked like a muffin tray essentially, but with semicircles.
Yeah.
And they're pouring the resin in there or whatever the rubber is. And then it's all just pressed. They press it in. And then they'd all right, that's one half, and then they'd make the other half, press it in, and then the fuzz, the outside, it's just a piece, 2 pieces that are cut, and then they put them over there. Then they've got a strip, looks like dried toothpaste, putting it around, and then it goes back into the full circle mold, and then just gets heated and pressed, and it's all stuck together, and it's a tennis ball. And it's crazy though that you just think it'd be so much more, I guess, like different and high tech.
Yeah, that's one of the funnest things is going to the factories and seeing our gloves and our jerseys and our helmets and all the different things we get built, to see how they, especially these days where they're laser cutting and welding, and that stuff just really interested me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just really cool to see the quality and craftsmanship that they put into it.
So was mountain bikes your first helmet, or did you do moto stuff first?
I mean, I was more of a moto guy, but I was working for Shoei, and I was working, Jeff Ward was one of my good friends. He wore the old Shoei that kind of looked a little bit like it had a radio on the front and the speaker, and he kept wearing an open face, and I go, dude, sooner or later you're going to need to switch to a full face, dude. And he's like, no, I don't need it, man. And Oakley was making really cool mouth, the little guards that come down off the goggles and everything else. But I just said, you should start wearing a full face during the week and practice. And so I kept modifying his Shoei, moving it down a little bit lower. He just didn't want to see it, And so I kept cutting them and then modifying his Shoeis. And then I got him to practice in it. And then finally I got him to race in it. And then that's when I showed Shoei what we were kind of doing. And I worked for Shoei for quite a few years. And they came out with a new, like a jet ski helmet. Jet ski was kind of booming back then.
Yeah,
and they came out with a little kind of, really, we called it the TL Comp. I took the jet ski helmet, added a visor to it, changed the liner on it. Then I ended up bolting a mouth guard on it because I went and raced up at Mammoth at Kamikaze up there, and they're going, 50, 60 miles an hour downhill. That was back in the day where they had a little teeny pudding bowl on their helmet, and they had a little bit of Lycra on there, Tomac and all those guys, you know. Dave Cullinan and Tomac and Herbal and all these guys. And then when they'd crash, they were just shredded. I'm like, you know what? These guys need some BMX and a lot of the BMX guys were kind of jumping over to mountain biking.
Yeah, like Lopes.
And so I just kind of kept, that's what inspired me to build really the D2. I mean, the first helmet I built was the Daytona. After that was a copy of the kind of took in the Shoei jet ski helmet and that I put a mouth guard on and evolved it into a carbon Daytona. And then the D2 was the next step, and then D3 and D4. And now I'm working on D5, so just kind of every time I get something done, as soon as I get something done, everything I look at, I kind of a little bit bummed, like I can make it better. Yeah. Oh, I wish I would have done this. It's that art side of me, going, yeah. I can do a better job, So I think as long as I keep having that in my system, I'm going to keep building stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a true artist, right? Like a painting's never really finished.
Yeah.
Like I don't think, I can look at every podcast and be like, color's a tiny bit off, or, I wish the lighting was this bit different. And it's like, it's inconsequential to 99.9% of the, like no one's seeing the details that you're seeing. But I think that's what an artist is.
Well, that's how you keep making things better. It's like I do 5 or 6 paintings a year on canvas, just because I want no one to tell me what to do. It's like, this is what I'm doing. And my wife comes in usually and goes, don't touch it. It's done. I'm like, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I can go to sleep.
So the mountain biking thing exploded though, like in terms of what the reception that you guys got, I think with that helmet, like I said, I mean, that was a status symbol, it seems like.
I was at the right place at the right time. I mean, I was kind of racing mountain bikes and kind of meeting, I was helping kind of some BMX guys out, Mike Miranda, Dave Cullinan, Tomac was a mountain biker too. And they kind of all started to switch over to, they were BMX. Yeah. And even Tomac was even on the 7-Eleven team, the road team, but they definitely, a sport happened kind of like Supermoto. Like we started building gear for Supermoto too, but mountain biking started booming a little in the United States and around the world, and forks were coming into place. I mean, the first bikes didn't have forks on them. They were doing these massive downhills, dual slalom started up. Yeah. And they needed, knee guards and knee pads. And I mean, they could race it, but when they crashed, they were ugly if they didn't have some of that stuff on. And so I started building protection for those guys and a lot of friendships,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's so cool because it's almost like the business got born just purely out of necessity. Like you had these friends, You're very close to the, like your ear was close to the ground. You were very ingrained in the culture, and you could just see what people needed, essentially.
Yeah. That's what, just trying to run up the same thing I'm trying to do today, really.
Yeah.
Just see if I can make something a little bit better. And it's like we're really, I say we're chasing the motorcycles. I mean, the motorcycles just keep getting so much more advanced, and bicycles, that the protection has to follow.
Yeah.
The bikes nothing's getting any slower, and no one's jumping any lower.
The ground's not getting softer.
Yeah. I just looked at that. What is it? The Stark bike, man. It's got 80 horsepower. I was like, oh my gosh.
Have you ridden one yet?
I haven't.
Oh, dude, we have to.
Yeah.
Let's get that.
Yeah.
When do you want to ride one?
I just talked to, Eduardo down there, and I know he lost the owner of Three Brothers last week, man. He was a good dude, Ricardo, man. So I'm going to go by and see him after this. But wild not seeing any brake levers or shifters on that. I mean, nothing for your feet, it's just all your hands. I'm like, wow.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Like we actually, Anton, the CEO, is a good friend of mine nowadays. And I invited him to come and do our race. And so it's cool. It was an 8 hour, so it was Gypsy 500. So it was 500 minutes. And so I was like, I want to do it all on Stark. So we took 4 Starks. And we had like Justin that works from here in California. We had 2 big generators and like 1 bike on track, 3 bikes on charge. It was it's like a GP style thing. So we had like half the motocross track, or basically all the motocross track into an off-road section, and then like another bit of a motocross track. And ended up being 15, 16 minute lap time. Wow. And you just go around for 8 hours, you and your 4 mates, or 3 mates. And it was like unbelievable.
You guys made it all to the finish line.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It was actually so much fun. And the track got brutal, dude. But we did it on Starks, just 2 handbrakes only at the levers. And man, it was just
So you didn't find yourself trying to like, push the rear brake down.
I'm past that now.
Yeah.
Because I've been riding them for a while. I've had one over here the whole time I've been here. Dude, I raced World Vets on one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I actually had the foot brake for World Vets though. I would have loved to have
So what did they do? Put the foot brake back on it?
Well, you can actually choose to get a foot brake but they didn't have any foot brakes in the US.
Yeah.
Handbrakes in the US.
Yeah.
So I had to use the foot brake.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy though? I ripped like the whole palm of my hand off because I'm used to I always ride with my finger on the clutch basically. Yeah. And so when you start just death gripping the thing, so the whole World Vets, I was in I was like this the whole time, and there was so much pressure on a part of my hand that's not there, and I ripped the entire palm off my hand.
I'm design a new glove for that bike.
Maybe. Yeah, because but yeah, you get put in that weird position when you're not. It's crazy that it just changes that little tiny bit. But man, if you haven't ridden one, dude, I got to set you up for a ride. Yeah. Like they are phenomenal.
It's so weird though to think about. I mean, I love the clutch and I love clutch and not having that. Now I just rode the new e-bike that with the new transmission that SRAM has out, and Bosch now. And Shimano, I just rode it too. That you don't shift anymore.
Yeah.
The e-bikes just shift on, which I'm like, nah, I love shifting. I love clutching,
Yeah. So, mechanical.
Yeah. But it's coming, and it's, it's going to make us better. And it's,
Oh, I'm for sure faster.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's visibly, like obviously like the lap times prove it too, but I think even just visibly, like I just look faster, I feel faster.
Yeah.
Like it is pretty crazy. But it's funny though, man, like I think about my 350 or I've got a Yamaha 450, and I look that, it's so funny, right? So you've got a Stark 80 horsepower, no foot controls, futuristic, unbelievable. And that makes me want a fast as fuck 450.
Yeah.
It's just an animal that I've got to do, like the further away that you go from the mechanics, the more I want it. And I guess that's like a Tesla and like a 66 Mustang or something, you know, like you kind of, it's obvious that the Tesla's the go and the Tesla's the move, but it's like, damn, it feels good to sit in a muscle car.
Yeah. I just ordered my first muscle car here.
Well, what'd you get?
Which I'm a Sprinter van guy all the time, man. But I just got the Ford Trail van too. But I ordered the GTD. Jim Farley talked me in, kind of saying Ford has a new GTD coming out. What
model is that? It's like
It's
the
their new
Mustang.
muscle car, man. It's 800 horsepower, which I really don't need.
Yeah,
but
you
I'm
do.
like,
Don't be ridiculous, Troy.
okay, I need it. I got to at least feel it.
You need it.
So I think they're going to start making them this fall. So I just put myself on the list and said, you know what? I deserve this here. You know? I got a Sprinter van.
Yeah. Have you had any other cars that you loved? Or have you stayed out of buying all the crazy shit?
No, yeah. Usually I buy more bicycles and motorcycles than anything else. I mean, I ran my Toyota truck forever till I rolled it last year.
How'd you roll it?
It was raining really hard coming down the hill in Laguna Beach and coffee in one hand and just got a little side. It was pouring and the water gutter was just high and the mud was shooting across the road. And I braked a little bit. And I went, I could see this is going to be slippery. And it just went straight into the bank and then flipped over and slid upside down.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, you're all good, obviously.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah, it was almost kind of fun, really. I was like, whoa, no, this is going to suck.
I saw a video the other day of a guy, you know those Dodge TRXs?
Uh-huh.
That 1,000 horsepower,
Yeah.
whatever. And old mate had like souped the fuck out of this thing. And he was on like the salt flats and just went, whoa, and the thing just picked up like a Can-Am, bro.
Whoa.
And just fully cartwheeled this thing, eh? And it was no longer a TRX anymore. Happens quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that muscle car will be pretty sick.
Yeah, I think I got to check it out a little bit. It'll definitely is going to be fun here.
Yeah.
I need to have something cool just to drive every once in a while. I mean, I go out and my buddy Kyle Washington has some Porsches and stuff out at Thermo, so I've been driving those a little bit. And I've been I've raced a rally car before when I was doing the stuff for Hyundai. And so, yeah, I'm just going to just check it out a little bit. Yeah. I love looking at beautiful cars.
Yeah.
And I think Ford really knocked it out of the park with this new one. I'm like, this looks cool. I always thought I was going to have a Ferrari or a Porsche someday. I mean, I always told me that self. I was going to do that. But then I'm like, wow, this thing looks pretty trick, you know? And I love the new technology.
Yeah.
You know? I went and drove some vintage Porsches out at Chuckwalla. Then I went and got in the new Porsches, and man, the new Porsche is so much fun.
Yeah.
And then I did paint some NASCARs for my buddy too. We went and drove those things, but those things are like, woo, you know, shoebox. I mean, they're so loud you can't even hear yourself think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you really got to stand on the brake, and they're big.
Yeah.
You know.
Man, the driving a new Porsche, like I've done some track days in new Porsches. It's like driving a knife. They're so good.
Yeah.
Just so
smooth,
pointy and sharp, and like they go where you tell them to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, fun.
Yeah. We did a Porsche driving day with for Barcia's birthday. Got the whole team out there, and we had a really fun day.
Yeah. How's it been having Bam on the team? He's been there a while now.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a really cool, happy place for him to be. Yeah.
He's been struggling with the bikes the start of the year, but I think we're back on track here. But it's been rough. It's always hard when you go to new bikes and new frames, and I do feel like, you know, just being honest here, that sometimes they get a lot of testing in for the outdoor over there in Austria, but we don't get much Supercross testing.
Yeah.
And then and that's why they have factory teams. They give it to us and say, hey, adjust this thing, make it work. But sometimes it doesn't work right out of the, you know, just like Formula One does with Ferraris and stuff. Sometimes the last year's car is better than the new car. So then your job is to get all the bugs out of it and, you know, we're working on today. I was working on the new limited edition bike for next year, you know. So luckily I just get to do the graphics, so that makes it a little bit easier. But, they're showing me the plastics, and I'm like, man, I think you guys should have changed the corner here and maybe beveled this a little bit, you know. But they are getting some of the new technology on the plastic is amazing, and like they're putting the decals now into the molds, and end molding the plastic after the decals are in there. So now it's wrapping all over the curves and making it really slick. It almost looks like it's hand painted, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. I saw at the team launch this year, seeing the bike for the first time, I was like, wow, it's pretty incredible. That's the detail that they can get into these plastics now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I wonder, I've never thought of it, but why is there no Supercross track in Austria? And they have some high-level guys that just are over there doing the development in parallel with the motocross stuff. Because you're right, like they're they're developing everything for motocross.
Yeah, it's weird too. I say the same thing. Even like we used to, when I first started painting helmets, man, I used to go to Japan to watch Supercrosses in Japan. It was big, and the new sponsors come in. Kodak would be in there, and Sony would be in there, and that kind of fell by the wayside. And I always thought it's weird how big Supercross is here, but it's not in Europe and not in Japan anymore. And you know, I think that's something's got to change. I think it'd be really cool to. I mean, I know they do Barcia, but it'd be cool if they did. But our guys do a lot of racing too. I mean, when you really think about it, you know, I was talking to Pitt Buyer about it. You know, he's like, man, the MotoGPs, I think, what is there, 18 or something? Or
20, 21 now.
Yeah, 21. That's a pretty big season. And, you know, he was saying really that we don't really give our guys enough time off.
Not in, well, your guys are doing 31.
Yeah. That's a lot of first turns. That's a lot of qualifying.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of practicing during the week. I mean, our guys they're on, and then they go over and go, we're going to do Barcia, or we're going to do, that's why, you know, that's why Trophy to Nations, you know, it's like, Troy, I need a break, man. I'm burned out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, and the schedule thing, I mean, I was definitely very vocal about, like, these guys do too much. Like, it's insane what they're asked to do. But then when you hear that the new deal with Peacock, like the $7-8 million deal that they got, was like contingent on them doing more races.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, what's the answer then? Because it's like, if the money that's coming in to support the sport, and, you know, that went back in, a lot of guys made a lot of money towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's a hard balance to strike. But I agree, 31 races is way too much.
Yeah, and they're just, I mean, I think definitely one of the gnarliest sports, you know?
Yeah.
It's so easy to twist an ankle or break a wrist or collarbone, or, you know, we've been through it so many times, you know, just we're going, like, I mean, God, what was it last year? You know, we moved into second in points in Supercross, and then Barcia broke his collarbone 15 minutes later. You know, it's like, oh.
Well, SMX at LA, he was riding fantastic.
Yeah.
One mistake, and that was huge.
Yep.
Like, that was such a violent crash.
Yeah.
You know, and then that chases him around for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid. But I mean, I think that maybe they could do. I get flamed when I say it, but like, I'd love to see, just give the 450 guys like a couple weekends off and have, like, imagine how cool it would be to have like 2 lights class main events, both coasts, you know, like make those guys main stage, or one of the East-West shootouts is like, you have the heat race is essentially like a West Coast main and then an East Coast main, and then the main event is like the East versus West. Like, I think you're also like investing in the next generation of the sport too, you know?
Yeah.
But there would be a lot of people that, I guess the risk is that Feld would not want to risk people not going to support not the main guys and not see Eli Tomac, not see Jet Lawrence.
Yeah. The other thing is too, is when they decide to do these new things, even if it's us racing like at Glen Helen a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we did the GP there, but it's, as a team owner, you kind of go, whoa, I didn't know that we need to start a month in advance. And, you know, then we're trying to figure out the rules of what they're doing at the MXGPs, you know, okay, this is the fuel we got to use. Okay, this is the, you know, we got to make the bikes quieter. So there's a whole bunch of, and it also burns out the mechanics too, because they're going, dude, we're racing Supercross or we're racing outdoor nationals, and we got to get ready for this GP that they're going to run, you know? And that's why, you know, I just worked with Bud Feldkamp a little bit. I really miss us not being at Glen Helen. I think it's a shame that we're not, you know, I even talked to Davey Coombs. I says, man, this is, you know, and Feld, I said, Glen Helen is like taking away our Anaheim.
Yeah.
It's everybody gets to sleep in their, you know, not everybody, but a good portion of us get to sleep in our own beds that night. It's our hometown track. And I know we're doing Paula, but we shouldn't be doing 2 Paulas. Glen Helen is an iconic track that's around the world. So we just announced I was going to help Bud Feldkamp with this here, but we're doing a stopwatch national out there. We're calling it. It's on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because these guys come out and do their stopwatch racing for 30 minutes out there. And I went, you know what, let's just put a $10,000 purse together and let's run it on Thursday at 10:30. We'll have the first moto, and 12:30 we'll have the second moto, and $20 for spectators, and these guys are all on stopwatches anyway. Let's let them make some money.
Yeah.
So it sounded like I talked to quite a few of the riders, and they went, "That sounds good. We're out there anyway. Let's do it. Let's drop the gate."
Oh, so actually race.
Yeah. So we're putting 250s and 450s in the same thing. Line up on the line, and
Wow.
got a $10,000 purse. Yeah.
I saw that this morning, but
Yeah.
it was just in passing. I didn't know.
We can have something at Glen Helen because there's a lot of things that happen at Glen Helen. They do the day in the dirt there. They do the 2-stroke national, the
World
world
Vets.
champ.
Yeah.
So, but I just feel like it's a shame that we should have a national there.
Do you know why?
The promoters aren't getting along.
Just
Yeah.
business.
And I think also Paula, is owned by the Indian reservation. I think they write a pretty big check.
Yeah.
So, but to have two Paulas, Paulas are really hard to get into, and I just think Glen Helen, we always do a big hospitality on the hill, but the jumps, it's spectacular at Glen Helen.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's a famous, iconic track that's been around for a long time. We should be using it.
Oh man, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
For me, that whole experience of racing World Vets last year was
fun, huh?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was cool. I actually pulled in behind you, so
really?
that you went off. I think just in front of me. Remember you and Jeremy were like sitting on the line together.
Yeah.
I was like the next moto after
cool.
that. And I just was sitting there at the line being like, dude, what the fuck? And, it's Troy Lee and Jeremy's right there. And, like that event at that track. And it is iconic, like for me to be able to drop that gate. I got the whole shot, to get a whole shot at that track through that first turn. Like, man,
First
it was
turn's
just
like Daytona, man. Bangs and everything. It's cool.
Yeah. So I think, I think you're right. Like for us not to be there is just such a shame.
Yeah, it's a cool track. It's one of the toughest tracks.
Do you race World Vets a bunch of times now? This is one of those ones that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, it just brings out. I love lining up here because there's so many different people from so many different countries there. You get to there, and I'm like, wow, I'm racing against this guy from Japan and this guy from Sweden, and it's the gate's full, 40 guys. I'm over 60, 40 guys over 60. Still trying to, handle a 450. That start, you hold that thing wide open. It's barking.
She gets going.
Yeah.
So you ride the 450, you don't ride 350?
450, yeah. I think you have to ride a 450 with if all your buddies are on 450s, they're going to pass you down the straightaway every time on a 350,
Yeah.
It's definitely a 350 is nicer on the turns and a little bit lighter and everything, but same with Mammoth. I did get a 350 and then I just get pulled up the hill at Mammoth and I'm like, man, this is no good. I want to pull them,
Yeah.
Give me a 500. 450 is not enough.
How much are you riding these days?
I've been doing more trail riding.
Okay.
Yeah, just with my younger kids.
Do you go from Laguna?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I go out to Jeff Ward's house out there by the test tracks, and we just trail right out there. There's I don't know how many acres out there, man. There's hundreds of acres out there that you can just kind of, especially right after it rains, and we just do a little bit of trail ride, pack a lunch, and my wife's been saying the twins, let's keep these guys on bicycles and surfboards and not so many motorcycles. Max and me chased this, did all the amateur stuff and the Red Lynn stuff and all that, but just seemed like motorcycles you get hurt on more.
Yeah.
And she's like, bicycles are a little more, it scares me, to be honest with you. Taking my daughter surfing, especially in Portugal, I'm like, man, these waves are gnarly.
Yeah, dude.
But it's everything we do is dangerous.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We can't say no. Let's just try to be as safe as we can and go have fun.
Yeah. What's your bike of choice for your trail rides?
I got a 300 gas and I love it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Good, eh?
Yeah, I love back the 2-stroke electric start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I rode one of those to the tip of Australia a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So we did like 3,000 Ks.
Yeah.
And I just put a bit of a smaller sprocket on it because you do a lot of like dirt road sections where you're just kind of wide open for an hour.
I just had lunch with John Hines yesterday, and I said, hey, where's the distributor in Portugal? I need to order two or three 300s for my house in Portugal because I just want to that's how I'm planning to ride out of my house up to Porto and just take as many dirt roads as possible and grab, 10 of my buddies and just do a, full adventure ride, stay at the coolest hotels, and it's all about dinner and hotels.
Yeah.
As much single track as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually know a guy over in Portugal who races Porsches too. He
really?
rides motos and old rich retired guy.
Sounds like I should know him.
I was gonna. I think I might have to connect you guys. He's a very adventurous guy, and he's just retired, successful businessman, made a bunch of money, loves racing Porsches, loves riding motos. He's a really, really, really nice guy too.
Awesome.
That vibe of like, okay, we're going to have a really nice lunch.
Yeah.
We're going to stay at a really nice hotel, but we're going to ride scruffy dirt bikes
Yeah.
on the way to it. That's his style. Might have to link his up.
Sounds good.
But I think the dual sport thing is just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like these days, I love being at tracks, and I love that still. I think once you've done it and you've spent your life doing it, I think it's hard not to enjoy that or want that. But man, so much fun to just get a group of dudes together and go out into the hills and trail ride and laugh and stop every 20 minutes and carry on, you know?
Yeah. I still love tracks too, though, because it's fun perfecting, you know, it's just so gratifying when you get that berm with your feet up and you're just on the gas halfway through it and you're just like, yeah, I cleaned that, or that jump backside it perfect. You're like, yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And you feel like you're a hero until you slam your head in the ground and you're like, what am I doing this for?
What would you say is your favorite discipline these days?
I mean, my favorite is still riding moto. I mean, gives me the biggest thrill.
Yeah.
I mean, I ride bicycles, you know, 4 or 5 days a week. I ride with the Rads, which is the oldest mountain bike group in Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
So we try to do that Wednesday night because we cook and drink whiskey afterwards and everything else. But moto gives me the most thrill always, because just perfecting that track. Go out and, you know, a morning at Glen Helen, and it also just filters everything in my brain. I mean, when you're on the track and you're motoing, you're not thinking of anything else. You're not thinking, there's not one other problem. It's just how to hit the brakes a little late and get on the gas a little early. Yeah. And I still love that more than anything.
Yeah. And it is such a life hack, you know, like I feel like when you have something like moto, when you have something that you really love that gives you that relief from the rest of your life, it's almost like you can take on more. You know, you can pile more on yourself. You can try harder. You can be more ambitious in business. You can do more because you've got an outlet that can like give you that clean escape.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, I honestly think it's hard to pile on as much and to be as ambitious in your life.
Yeah. And you can scare yourself. Real easy. And nothing else seems that scary.
Yeah.
Racing motorcycles I'm scared, you know, you scare yourself, you save it a couple times, go, whoo, that was close.
And Glen Helen's your favorite track?
Glen Helen and Mammoth.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I like Washougal too. Washougal's cool to race.
I just need to go to Mammoth.
Yeah, Mammoth is so much fun because it's also just the camaraderie is just amazing, because, you know, you have 10 of your buddies that you're gonna show up there, and you're all just getting out of the van, and you get to go having a beer afterwards is amazing, and, you know, just sharing a little bit of dirt with each other, and you know, Mammoth is it's so beautiful. Yeah,
and I think there's probably something as well in the fact that you just can't ride it all year.
Yeah,
like it's that 1 week of the year where you actually get to put your wheels on the dirt,
and it's natural terrain too, and I really like natural terrain. I'm not good at doubles and triples. That's the places I always crash. Yeah. You know, they don't put in a set of doubles or something or a triple that you try, you know, you and me know, we're like, oh, I know I could shift to fifth and probably make that, but you're just like, this is not the day to do that.
Yeah. I got a business to run. Yeah. So to go back to, like, I guess the business side of Troy Lee, was it always not like smooth sailing, but was it hard in the beginning, or did you guys have a way of you just kept building this momentum? Because, like, I guess if you look at it now from, you know, where it is for, you know, 20, 30 years later, it's like, oh, he nailed it. Like, how easy. But it's like, was it hard to get it to where it was? Because I think even for me, like, I always have people that are like, oh, you're doing so well. Oh, it's killing it. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is a fucking shit show.
I look at it the same way. I mean, I sold the company like 45% of it 5 years ago, and then I sold another chunk again. And then you got to learn to work with the new people. I mean, I really did it because I was tired of, I feel like I chased payroll for 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just times where you just, and partly, 2008, the economy went like this. I was running to shops that couldn't pay me and stealing my clothing back out of there and helmets. Cause I'm like, you know what? You can't pay me. I'm grabbing this stuff, I mean,
Really?
I did, I count on losing a distributor every year. You lose one or two distributors. Even with the pandemic, we lost probably 4 distributors, that just said, they had some great time, went great. And then they're like, you know what? I'm over this Troy. I'm done. I'm like, well, just buy my inventory back. I'm like, I don't have a bunch of cash to buy your inventory back. Oh my gosh. But it was great having partners. My new partner's amazing too, right? They're awesome. They're French and everybody's like, oh my God, but they're into racing. They're into street helmets. They own Nolan and Shark. So I'm working with both those companies. They also own Segura and Bearing, so I'm working with jackets and gloves. So I'm learning. I just want to keep reinventing myself.
Yeah.
I get to, I want to keep learning. I feel like life's a college class, so I should just keep, as long as you're putting something in front of me that I can keep learning and try to make better, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But no, business was hard. And it definitely with, as you got bigger and bigger, you need more insurance. And, we've had, lawsuits against us with helmets because people die in helmets, and I'm like, man, we did everything we built. I'm real proud of the stuff we build. I think we make really safe stuff, and my kids race and I race, so we make the best. I feel like we make the best product out there, and we do a lot of development. But there's always somebody that runs into a bus, or and you're like, oh, and they sue you.
Yeah.
And the more insurance you carry, the more they sue you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the insurance company pays them out, and then they're like, why'd you pay that out? We made a beautiful helmet. And they go, well, then they just raise your insurance. Yeah. So then you pay more insurance because they had a lawsuit and they paid them out because they didn't want to go to court. And that part bugs me a lot, because I feel like we really put our heart and soul into building, putting MIPS and dual densities and lots of helmet testing. And then, somebody gets killed because they hit a bus, and they're like, man, no
helmet's going to save you.
No helmet's going to save you when you hit a bus.
Yeah. Yeah, because the behind the scenes of business, and it's so hard. Like it's crazy how hard business is, and it's like, especially when I guess like you make an argument that like you need a helmet to ride, but like we're all in this business that like people don't need the things that we're selling. Like what you need is food, water, and a place to sleep. Like that's what you actually need in life. So it's like where you're selling like this fun, this activity, this hobby. And it's like, I think people lose perspective sometimes of like just how hard it is to make a living off people's wants instead of like people's needs in a sense. And it's like to be in a business owner and to like, especially have ambition in business and to like strive to do well, like, fuck, you're almost just signing yourself up for a lifetime of bullshit in a way,
I do question myself sometimes because, I try to make always the best product and put as much wild graphics and chrome and features. And to me, I just keep loading things up, it's like I'm just like, wow, let's put this in. Let's do this. Let's do this. Carbon fiber, chrome, MIPS, dual density. Oh, this is going to be the safest thing ever, and then I'll meet somebody that doesn't know what I really do and say, oh, you make helmets? Yeah, I need a helmet. And then you tell them, well, how much is your, I ride motorcycles. And I go, our helmet's $750. Like, what? They have no idea that I'm like, well, I don't make it for you. I make it for like the best in the world.
The best dude in the world.
Yeah. So it's, and that's the fun part for me. I wouldn't like to just make average stuff. I think I would quit right now if I get to really work on stuff that I get to put all the bells and whistles on, and that's what's really fun.
Yeah, and it's like it's not logical, there's so many easy, like, I give away all my content, I give my product away for free. Like that's the worst business model that you could possibly be in, But it's like like real business, and like you can't. I mean, I'm sure you could just go. I'm sure I could go and just do a thing if it's just for money. There's probably a better way to do it and be the exact same for you. But it's like you almost can't help but work on the thing that you want to work on in a way. And it's like, that's like a blessing, and it's also a curse, because there's probably there's 100% a million easier ways to make money. But it's like your expression, it's like your business, Troy Lee Designs. It's like, it comes from what you think is cool.
I make a list every day I go to work. I commute from Laguna Beach to Corona, and it's about 45-minute drive, and I've been doing it forever, man. And that's the only thing. I wish I could move my shop to Laguna Beach, but I put down, okay, these 10, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 5, but I go, these things have to happen, or I'm not leaving work. And I put them on my desk, and I start attacking them. But then my mind wanders off, and I'm like, man, I want to work over here. And then I keep looking at the list going, okay, I got to get back to it. Yeah. But I constantly just start to venture off in a different avenue and start building something else. And I noticed that today. I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to do this podcast, man. But I'm like, these 5 things aren't done. But then I start drawing a driving suit, and then I start working on a project that I'm doing with Alpine Star. And I'm like, wait, I don't need to get that done, but I need to, oh man, I'm like, I'm like, I gotta go. So I didn't get my list done today.
Nah, dude, I feel you, man. Like I do the same thing every single day. I wake up, I do Sunday nights. I'll have I start work on Sunday, basically.
That's what I do too.
I can't. If I start work on Monday, I'm fucked. I've already lost my week. But I start on Sunday, and I write, this is my Sunday things that I need to do. And then I'll plan out, I do like a brief, like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on one page. So that way it's like you can only fit 3. I'm very like OCD about how my books look in terms of like how everything's laid out, right? So I've got, like 3 or 4 things, 3 things on Monday, 3 things the whole week. And then every day I'll turn a page, and it's like Monday, and I can kind of like load that up. But yeah, it's just that constant balance. And guess what? 90% of the things on that page I don't actually want to do. And I think that's kind of business in a sense, is just having to do all of this shit that you sort of don't want to do.
Yeah.
But you kind of, that's what keeps the lights on.
Yeah. A lot of them I put, next to them, I even put, this is just a dream. It's a dream. It's a dream, but I got to keep dreaming. I'm like, let me see if I could pull this off. Let's see if this makes sense, So I think I drive my daughter's my assistant, Carly.
Yeah.
And she's like, all the time I'm jumping to something else. She goes, what's this? And I go, I'm just dreaming. It's a dream right now. I'm just, let me finish the dream here, and then we'll decide if it can be real,
What was the first like big dream thing that you made come true within Troy Lee?
I don't know. I mean, kind of. One thing was weird. Was kind of my, I basically dropped out of school, and kind of started painting helmets, and really my mom believed him, and my dad didn't, and said, nobody paints helmets. You're not gonna make a living painting helmets. And I'm like, man, I'm loving it. No one's doing it. I just saw it as like a clear road, because I go, no one's doing this, But my dad, that I believed in a lot, says, man, this is crazy. Do something else, man. You're not going to make any money painting helmets. First off, racers don't have any money. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm a racer. I was scrambling at the time, too. But I was having so much fun. So that was kind of like the first dream. And then, even starting my, vacuum forming up visors. I mean, I never thought I'd sell thousands of visors. And I do things that don't make sense. A lot like fins on a helmet.
Yeah, I literally thought of that as soon as you said it.
Yeah, I drew it on. I kept drawing helmets, and I kept putting the fin on the back, and there is no fin. And I did the show to Scott Russell for Daytona, and I'm like, man, we should have a fin on your helmet. It'd be cool. And so then I vacuum formed it in the oven and made a little fin for his helmet. And then he won Daytona, and the phones were ringing. I'm like, that's like perfect thing. It's just a dream, but no one needs a fin on their helmet, but it looked cool, So
looks fast.
I sold 1,000 of them, and then I started putting lights in them, and then I, put them on Jeremy McGrath and Ricky Carmichael, and just started putting fins everywhere. And our helmets now all have fins on them, on the back of them. Always have a little bit of a fin, because but it really started with my grandfather's Bonneville car. He had a fin on the back of it on his Bonneville car. It just looked faster because they used the belly tankers back then. He started with the belly tanker, and then he had a fin on the back of the belly tanker, and then the whole thing came together. I'm like, wow, the thing looks cool. It was a 49 belly tank off an airplane, and then I think it had a straight 6 GMC motor inside of it. And it was sponsored by the city of Pasadena, which was pretty cool too. But just I'm working on. I always thought the Jofa was really cool too. So I'm working on a new 3/4 face, which we should have came out with it 5 years ago, but every time I'd bring it, everybody's, we don't need an open face mountain bike helmet. I go, well, I like kind of bringing back the old open face helmet onto a bicycle. And there's some other companies out there doing it, but we're getting to the finish line. But then I started putting a Jofa on it too, just because I'm old school and I used to wear a Jofa, I mean, probably half the people that listen to this right now are not going to know what a Jofa is, but I'm kind of making it click in like it's on the ski boots and I don't know if it'll get to the finish line, but I got to keep always thinking about, doing something different.
Yeah. And I think why I asked you that is because I think the more times that you cross the finish line with like a thing that was just a dream, I think your idea of like what's possible starts to change. And then, I think you can, like for myself, for example, like I found it like recent, like we just did that Gypsy 500 race, know, and it's like, I've never done a race. Like we partnered up with Verb. So we had like an awesome team to do it with, but it's like, it just happened.
Yeah.
It was an idea.
Oh, and then you're stronger next time.
Yeah. And I just said, I was like, this is what we should do. This is how we should do it. And it's like, and the thing happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, the studio here. And it's like, if you kind of chip away and you just have these like wins and you stack these wins on top of each other, like, over a period of time, it lets you dream a bit bigger and it gives you the confidence that it's going to execute and the layers of self-doubt that you might have had originally that had killed some of your other dreams.
Yep.
Self-doubt is where dreams go to die.
Yeah.
And it's like slowly you kind of just more things start happening and you just end up being a guy that your ideas kind of come true,
Yeah. Yeah. I went to Indy 500 when I was a little kid, and I painted the fuel tanks there because they used to have the fuel tanks on the other side of the wall. When they come in, they'd fuel them. So I painted the walls and the fuel tanks, and I was just thinking about some of the dreams, and as a kid, I was like, oh man, it'd be cool to, and I was painting a couple helmets back then too. And it'd just be cool to have a helmet that win the Indy 500. I was like, well, that was a long time dream. I'm like, wow, finally we won the Indy 500. One of our drivers won the Indy 500, and now we've had probably 10 or 12, maybe more guys win the Indy 500 with our helmets, and even like when I was working with Adidas there, they said, hey, would you want to do a football team? And I go, I'd love to do, I'd love to do some football helmets. And we got to do, they said, I told him, I said, if I do it, I'd like to do Notre Dame. Like, oh, Notre Dame, that's going to be a hard one. I'm like, well, let's start there. And if they fire me, I'll go somewhere else. But and so doing the first helmet for Brian Kelly, I think was the coach. And I got to fly back there and they showed him the new jerseys and stuff like that. And I brought the helmet in. We did it all in 24 karat gold and showed him the sample. And I remember Brian Kelly pulling it out of the bag and he was with all the, I was with all the Adidas people there, and he pulled it out of the bag and just immediately left the room and ran down the hall and showing everybody. And we got the job doing the helmets for 3 years for Notre Dame. And I was like, wow, those are cool moments,
Man, it's so cool. You've done so much more than just moto too, eh? Like it's pretty wild the scope that you've had over the years.
Yeah, I think that's important for me not to just do moto. So it's good to go and branch out and do guitars and IndyCar and NASCAR and Notre Dame stuff and working with Puma and Ricky Fowler. Just if I keep branching out and working with different groups around, I learn so much. That's why I say to me life is like college. I checked into college a couple times, but I get bored. I end up. Christmas windows came up and I was painting Christmas windows and I ended up hiring like 4 or 5. The teacher got real mad because I ended up hiring 4 or 5 people out of the college class to help me do all the Christmas windows. So then I realized I'm like, what? I don't really need that much more college. I'm okay. Just treat life like college.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. What were you studying at college?
Just some art classes.
Yeah.
So it was perfect for doing Christmas windows because they were all a bunch of artists. And I'm like, I booked way too many Christmas windows. I do the little sketch, go, we'll do this. And they're like, yeah, you're in, they're in. And I'm like, oh man, I got tons of work. I gotta hire some people.
What drove you to work so hard?
I really don't look at it like work. It's something I have to get out of my system. It's like I go home. I have canvases. I have a studio in Laguna Beach and a store in Laguna Beach, and I have a canvas in Portugal, and I have canvases in my garage. So, I slow down, grab a glass of wine, and go, I'm going to paint for the next hour because that just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Because once I get something in my head, I have to get it out.
Yeah.
If it stays in there, it's
like a splinter.
I'm a mess. My wife will even pour me a glass of wine and go paint.
Yeah.
I can tell just you need to get out of your system. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
thank you. So,
have you thought much about what it is?
I haven't really thought about what it is, but I love the feeling.
Yeah.
I love when I get something that's, and I can see it so visually. I'm a real visual person.
That's what I was
so
gonna.
I can see it, and I go, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. And a lot of times it isn't. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is going to be fantastic. I gotta get on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was going to be like my next question is like, how do you see it? It's visual. Like it's clearly visual.
Like when I'm doing some stuff I really like working with Jim Farley from Ford. He gave me I've done 6 race cars for him now. And they said, he kind of told me his story. He goes, we're getting back into racing in a big way. And, I went, cool. And when I hear that, immediately I'm like, I want to be involved.
Yeah,
in this.
I'm in. Yeah. I like racing.
Factory cars. Man. You guys go racing. And he's like, the Ford versus Ferrari all over again. I'm like, wow, that was a cool movie. Yeah, let's do it. And so I put myself in the stands, and I've been in the pits, and I'm like, dude, the cars. I'm sitting up in the stand. I want to be able. It's just like I do with my race team. I want to go to the top. When I go to a Supercross, I walk and sit in 3 or 4 different places. Always, I just grab a beer and go. Okay, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna sit at the top. And I've been to Le Mans. I've done quite a few art cars and race cars for Le Mans. I mean, I started there with Jim Busby and when I was a kid. And I just had such a vision for it. I'm like, okay, let's make the cars look like this. Let's make the tents look like this. Let's do something totally different and outside the box, which they've now come back to doing the cars in more of a red, white, and blue because that's Mustang but I got to go wild on the first 6 cars I did, and I put Ford from the front bumper to the tail. So I'm like, I'm gonna be sitting at the top of the stands. I'm gonna come back and I'm like, there's the Ford coming down the front straightaway, man. And I got to sell Jim on it, and he says, I love it. Let's go for it. So it's fun when you get to work with great people and they give you a great opportunity to work on really cool equipment.
Yeah. And so you can clearly see, like if you close your eyes, you can see what the car looks like.
It was already done. In my head, I'm like, I got it. I know how I'm going to sell this.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to sketch it,
Yeah.
And then just shoot it. Me and him work on mostly Texas and stuff. I was like, this is my idea. This is how we're going to, he's like, loves it. Go for it. I'm like, I love when people make quick decisions like that too, go and believe in what I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm not really good at selling myself to a big committee. I like to work with one-on-one person that kind of has the same kind of vision.
Yeah. 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 It's funny. Like in my past life before I did this, I was doing a lot of film work and, I would have these edits in my mind. And if I couldn't fully see that, I could watch the edit, close my eyes and just like watch it.
Yeah.
I could watch I knew the shots I wanted. I knew the angles. I knew the jumps. I knew everything that I wanted out of the piece.
Yeah.
And it's like they were the ones that worked.
Yeah.
Like the ones that I could watch before I started filming it, but yeah, it is funny, like I do wonder because I think like I have with this, like I have these people I want to talk to, and I've had conversations with you in my head of like, I'd love to talk about this. I'd love this story. I'd love to tell. And it's like, it is just the thing that you kind of like have inside that you just like want it to get out. It's such a weird thing, and not everyone has it,
Yeah. So it makes you want to go to work every day. I'm excited to go to work. I mean, sometimes I'm like, bummed I'm coming in late, man. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get all this done, man. I'm like, gosh, I've been doing this for 43 years and I'm still, to me, it's like going to work is like Christmas for me, man. I get to see new products showing up. I get to work with, my favorite artist and, and see their visions too. And, a lot of things I can get. I'm really good at getting things halfway done and then handing it off,
Yeah. And I think that's sort of kind of, I guess, like how you have to be in a way to like be really productive in a sense, because it's like the last 20% of any project is just like so time consuming and so detailed, like it'd be very hard to move quickly if you were having to get everything to 100%.
Yeah. Definitely when you start working on things on cost and, that's it. I get to see things cut down going, the cost came in wrong. We couldn't do it. I'm like, really? Oh, why didn't you tell me? I'll have to change something,
Yeah.
Because I want to see it. I want to see the final piece come in, But no, it's fun working on cool and new, I also, it's like, I'm really having fun working with, we just went to Guatemala for 5 days I usually do a trip once a year, with my buddies, and we had so much fun just with the communication on the helmets,
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get my guys to say, man, communication is the answer. Senate is amazing. It's so much fun. And it's such a safety thing too. We come across a barbed wire fence, we got 12 guys hauling ass and we're like, slow down, barbed wire fence. This 2 weeks ago, we were in Guatemala, and it's funny, my buddies all slam on the brakes, all crash into each other before the barbed wire fence. But I'm like,
well,
at least they didn't hit the fence.
I don't know if you've seen, but the whole in-ear communications, like my hobby horse that I've just been riding around every press conference,
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, I'm so about it.
Oh, cool.
That has to happen in Supercross.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they need to get communication in Supercross for sure.
Yeah, so you'd be for it as a team owner, team manager?
Well, I've been talking to Dave Prater on it, and I think I'm probably talking out of line here, but in Detroit we had a long conversation about it.
Oh, beautiful!
And I just said, you guys, even if you don't get it where the riders are talking to the mechanics, but you can take it out of Formula One or take it out of NASCAR, IndyCar. The sport will be boring. You're going to make the sport so much better.
Oh, I completely
agree. And the safety
agree.
thing, look at especially these mud races. There was a couple finish line jumps where guys were down. They just land another one. I'm like, oh my God, do we have to really hurt somebody really bad before
San Diego.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen it with my son, racing amateur, which we have, I have headphones on and he has it in his helmet. So I can at least go, hey, there's I go, if you guys, I told the AMA, I go, you guys, if you have 17 double jumps and you can't see, then you need 17 flaggers, or else put 15 jumps in and have 15 flaggers.
Yeah.
Because you're just, especially when I see the little kids that just stack the minis on top of each other, I'm just like, you guys, this is brain dead. We're better than this,
Yeah. Man, I'm so glad to hear that. I've been making the biggest deal out of it. Like I asked, it was actually after San Diego, because obviously there was in the 250 class, maybe it was a heat race or something, but a guy crashed on the finish line and just
I totally have it in my head here right now, but I don't remember what race it was, and I'm just like, another one. Oh my God, you guys.
Yep.
And you know how hard these guys try, and half these, especially the privateers, man, they're trying to get gas money to get home, and they're just getting landed on. I mean, the sport's brutal sometimes,
Yeah.
and not fair, you know.
So I mean, there's that element, and then there's also like the lappers element when Coop,
getting blocked.
Yeah, AP was in the lead, and then you've got Eli's getting lapped, and then he doesn't know what the deal is, and then it's like it. So there's that whole element, but then exactly what you said, like think about the content.
Yeah,
think about the content. And that race in particular, we had Jet and Ando get into it.
Just think about the content right there. That's what I said to him. I go, you're trying to decide whose fault it really was, but who was saying what in those helmets, man? I would have loved to hear that.
Dude, imagine the clips that and I think this is one of the things that you've done so brilliantly in your career as a team owner is you've always had amazing sponsors. You've always figured out ways to deliver for sponsors differently. Like you get it. You get it in the sport maybe better than anybody else. And it's like you obviously can see the value from the content perspective of just how important that would be for the sport. It would be fucking huge for the sport.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. No, I'm stoked. That's one of the things working with the studios and stuff, bringing Ghostbusters in. I'm super proud to be able to do that. I brought my friend Josh Greenstein there from Sony, and he walked into the stadium and went, I mean, his job is to sell movies. He goes, man, these people are moviegoers. How do we bring it to, bring Ghostbusters one day? So every year we get to pick now a movie and wrap our arms around it. And I got to go work on the set over there in England, in Ghostbusters. And
really?
Work on some of the new vehicles that they got coming out in it, and do the gear and the helmets. And now they sponsored the whole shot. Now they're advertising Ghostbusters on it, and we're planning for next year what we're doing. So
it's amazing, man.
And it brings me into, I love working with Hollywood and see what's going on. They just announced it, but Spielberg just signed, has the rights to the Bullet movie, and they just hired Bradley Cooper. So I talked to Jim Farley. We're already starting to work on the Mustangs for the new movie, and I love Bullet movies. So to bring that movie back and give it a 2000 spin, and bring Ford and Sony together and Warner Brothers, and I love that kind of stuff, when you start connecting all the right people,
Yeah. And I think you've been so good at that over the years, I think relationships in business, and that's everything.
Yeah.
It's so much about relationships, and I think you've been a guy that's always been able to kind of move the chess pieces around to link everyone together, and it's like the saying, a rising tide floats all boats. And it's like you're that guy,
Yeah. It's a fun part of the job, There's always, it's like working with Gabriel. He's been, from Alpine Star. He's a competitor, but I go, dude, we're better together. I want to hang next to Alpine Star in the store. So let me enhance what you're doing, and you help me. I mean, he helped, let Barcia out of his Alpine Star contract when I signed him. And
oh, really?
Gabriel was, thank you, Gabriel, for letting that happen. But, I end up painting some helmets for him. I do motocross helmets, now for him with Troy Lee designs on them. Like, you're not, yes, he's a competitor, but we're better together.
Yeah. I love hearing you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gabriel's such a great guy.
Yeah. He's awesome.
There's not many people, I actually don't think many people know about Gabriel. I guess the public, they probably don't know just how amazing that guy is.
Oh,
and
he works harder than anybody I know, man.
Dude.
I'm like, geez. He's on every plane, every race.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The players, I'll see him, I travel a fair bit.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
I see, there's not a race that I go to anywhere in the world where I don't have a coffee with Gabriel. It is mind blowing.
For sure.
The amount, he'll be A1, then he'll be on a plane that night to go to Japan to do something in Japan.
Yep.
And then he'll be at a superbike race, and then he'll be back in the office, and then he'll be flying to India. He is just everywhere.
Yeah.
But he's so passionate about his product.
Yep.
He's so passionate about his athletes and the sports, and
does an amazing job.
It's unbelievable. But it's cool that you guys have that relationship.
Yeah. No, every time I see him, I want to sit down, and grab a coffee with him.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot that Barcia was Alpine Stars before he signed with you.
Yeah,
guys.
we had to get him out of Arai and Alpine Star, so it was and even Arai was really cool. Luckily we did a new helmet for Arai. I mean, I try to work with all my I try to be like Switzerland with my company. I think I worked with Arai, I worked with Shoei, I worked with Bell, worked with Jeremy McGrath forever. He really helped me a lot. Jeff Ward, I talked to him this morning. He's one of my great athletes. I've really been fortunate to work with some great, Scott Dixon, amazing,
He's unbelievable.
Yeah. What has he got? 6 IndyCar championships now or something like that? Yeah. He's just, and the nicest guy,
Yeah.
And
he loves moto too, eh?
Oh, he loves it. He loves watching our team. We even have a New Zealand kid on our team.
Cole.
Cole, yeah. So he's even more stoked now. He's like, oh, you're helping a New Zealand kid, man. Because I always do the silver ferns on Scott Dixon's helmets,
Ah, sick. Was BT riding for you guys at one point?
Yeah, he really put us on the map, and he think we won our first 450 with him.
He did, right?
Yeah.
Was it an outdoor?
Outdoor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. I went to Australia or New Zealand for Rotorua for the mountain bike thing over there, and hung out with him for a couple of days and water skied, and it was cool. Yeah, New Zealand was a super cool country.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, then I went over to Australia from there and hung out with Johnny.
Yeah.
Got to ride some moto there.
So funny story. Johnny's the guy that gave me the nickname Gypsy.
Oh, really?
I don't think I've ever said that on the air, but yeah. So
cool.
he's a one of my oldest friends in this
good guy.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I used to go. It's funny. I'd go film because I was filming. So like 2007, 2008, like I bought a camera and a credit card and I'd started going to film at the Nationals in Australia. And it was like J-Mum on, like there was that whole kind of era. Then Chad Reed was going back and doing some races. And so I would be traveling in a van by myself, 18 years old. I had a camera and a tripod and I would stop at Johnny's house. And this was before any fast internet, any broadband speed, none of that. And I would go to his house and absolutely rape his Wi-Fi. so I would be trying to upload these videos to like Vimeo. It wasn't even YouTube back then.
Right.
And I'd be trying to upload my edits to Vimeo on Johnny's couch. And I'd be staying on his couch for fucking weeks. And Halsey would be like, when is this kid gonna leave? But yeah, we'd go riding and surfing and carrying on. And when he got Troy Lee, I was extremely happy for him because
cool.
he's
awesome.
such a good dude.
He really wraps his arms around our brand and puts it on the other right people in Australia and, always doing cool things. So it's great when you get a distributor like that and a personal friend that does the right things for the brand.
Yeah. I think my brother was working for him. I think he actually won, he got given like a Sam Hill helmet. It won like maybe social media or I guess they came. You guys did some distributor awards or something like that. So he actually ended up winning. That's where my brother got his start working as well.
I talked to Sam Hill a couple days ago. Doing good.
He's
trying to figure out how to get him back in helmets and gear. It's been a long. He won a lot of races for us, man.
Oh man, you in mountain biking, like it's a trip to think just how dominant Troy Lee athletes were, like from Palmer.
Yeah.
Then you go to Sam Hill.
Yeah.
Like
and Nicholas too, Foulet.
Oh yeah,
he won like 9 championships for us.
That's awesome. Insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was it like working with Palmer? I don't think Palmer. I actually spoke to him on the phone recently. He's doing good.
Yeah.
I don't think people appreciate the true genius and madness of Shaun Palmer.
There's madness. Yeah, no, he was amazing. I talked to him 3 or 4 days ago.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he just showed me his house that he's building in Tahoe.
Yeah.
Just stripped all the drywall off and showed me this shed he's living in. He's living in the shed really next to the house right now. And he's like, dude, I just got a 250, man. You got to send me a carbon. He still wants the best shit. I need the Ultra Pat. I need the carbon fiber helmet. I'm like, okay. I mean, and Palmer did, when he was on top of his game and making a ton of money, he ripped up a Giro contract that was worth about $80,000 in the airplane hangar. So I'm fine to kind of say that on the air. It's cool. And I didn't have any money to pay him. And that was him putting him in a Daytona. That was right before the D2. And, he knew I painted his bus, his Prevos. I did whatever Palmer wanted, I built stickers or whatever. I mean, but for him to tear up a big contract and wear our helmet for free, I feel like I owe him for life for sure. And we've had our rough times. He's definitely, there's times where he's like, Troy, you're an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, probably. You're an asshole too, Palmer. But no, he's a good dude and took a lot of chances and we did a lot of betting too. He's like, I rode back on the plane when he was a snowboarder from Washougal, I remember, and that's when I first met him. And he says, I'm coming to mountain bike and I'm going to kick everybody's ass. I'm like, there's no way you're going to jump out of snowboarding and kick everybody's ass. And he did. He came back and he made gold outfits and crowns and hung him in his bus that we all his Prevo that we all hand painted. And he had it back in there. And he's like, when I win, I'm going to go grab that thing and put it on. And I remember at Big Bear, he won the national and went back, got his gold cape, his crown, and wore it he had a vision. I mean, and he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of the best in the world,
Oh, and at a time when it was like the first era of like really good guys.
Yeah.
Like there was that early, like the infancy stage when it was sort of like no one really even knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But it's like when he came in, it was like, no, these guys are good.
Yeah.
Like they're on good stuff. They're going fast. They're training. They're making money. They're dedicated.
And their specialty, there was a special, I'm a downhiller. I'm a dual slalomist. And the technology and the bikes were getting so much better and everything else. So he came in, and when it was everybody was probably more competitive than ever, and the sport was at its all-time high, having races at Tahoe and races at Mammoth. I mean, big crowds and helicopters going to the top of Mammoth for the what was that? What do they call that thing where they remember they'd race up? Gosh, that was Miles Rockwell. It was like the Reebok Challenge.
Oh,
They'd race down. They'd take them in a helicopter and fly them back up, and kept eliminating them. It was like the Mammoth Eliminator or something, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he came in and he was a really great snowboarder.
Yep.
And then he came in and was amongst the best in the world at that. And
they qualified at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
In Supercross.
Yeah. Like that, I mean, a 3-sport athlete.
Yeah.
And I just don't think, and I mean, Palmer almost saved downhill.
Yeah.
Like if you think about like that, the direction it was going, like Voulios and the skin suits and the way that the guy it was almost like too competitive in a sense, like Tour de France, like because cycling has a very weird element to it of like that weird competitiveness where they'll kind of like do anything to win. And then Palmer came in and almost was like, fuck that. Like, we're not doing that. And he bought like that moto flair, and it's still in downhill. Like he saved downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. He always did his own way, which I really admire from him. He goes, nope, this is how I'm doing it, man. Yep.
Yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah. Really, really cool. And I was so glad to hear that he's like doing so well now, and, but
no drinking. The drinking, man, destroys him, man. He's one of those guys that goes all out. So it's like, 10 beers got to be better than one. Yeah. And then he just vanishes for 3 days. So had to learn to keep his shit together.
There's just some people, I got friends that are like that. Like one of my best friend growing up, like nicest dude in the world. Yeah. Nicest guy in the world. Starts drinking, fucking total cunt. Like just turns into the way and just then comes out of it and is like, man, what happened? Yeah. And you're like, what? You don't remember all the shit that you just caused? But, it's like no ill intentions. No, it's just one of those guys that's not.
I remember like Anthony Gobert was like, I loved Anthony Gobert, man. He was that same kind of phase with Palmer, man, just to go for broke, man. But, too much partying and drugs, man, can really screw you up, man. Yeah. He was a really good dude and really talented, man. But got to stay on track.
Yeah. It was sad to see that he just passed away, too. He was a freak talent. Yeah. You wonder, like, you see a lot of guys like that just have so much talent. You wonder if it's just like too heavy of a cross to wear in a way.
I think a lot of times artists are like that, Yeah. They get because they're so good. Maybe it's good that I'm not such a great artist.
Maybe.
Because I'd see some of my favorite artists, man, I want to just throw my brushes away. And I'm like, I just can't dedicate to sitting myself and just go for 10 hours just trying to work on the eyeball. It's like, no, I'll sketch thing, and that's my style. But there's guys out there that can work on just, I have a couple guys that work for me that way. And I love it because they'll spend, like I said, 8 hours doing an eyeball on something. It's just, and I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder, like what it is with those guys, because like you think about, so like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. I think it's like the anniversary of his suicide today, I believe. Wow. And I mean, it's a while ago now. It's probably 6 or 7 years that he passed. But it's like, I wonder if they get to this point where it's like they're so talented, so incredible at what they do. They've got all this success. They've got all this money. And like Linkin Park, like it's my favorite band. So I know weird statistics about them, but they tied the Beatles for the most #1 consecutive records. Wow. So their debut album was #1. Now their second album, #1, like all the way up until they ended up making a kind of a weird record. And then the band, it debuted at #2. So that they would have beat the Beatles. But I think they almost kind of like, it seems like they didn't even want to beat the Beatles. They kind of like put out a bit of a weird record. But, you look at a guy like Chester Bennington that by the classic metrics of success, he's one of the most successful artists of all time, and he killed himself.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just wonder if they get to this point where it's like, I'm so talented and I've got all of these things and I'm still not happy.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe that's the thing that they can't overcome. Like, they just can't justify the fact that they did everything that they set out to do, but they still aren't happy.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the thing that they can't rationalize.
Or you just keep going to the, you're going to the top, I'm to the top, I'm to the top, and going, God, the only other way I can go is downhill. It's just I sometimes look at, you set some goals and you accomplish it, and then you go, God, what's next? There's so much pressure on you to kind of like, I got to outdo, like all the helmets and all the stuff I've done there. People come in, what is your favorite one? I go, the favorite one is going to be the one I do tomorrow.
The next one.
And I got to keep saying that to myself, even to say, I got to reinvent myself. I got to reinvent myself,
Yeah.
And I even do that with my artists too. I'm like, come on, you guys, we're getting stuck in a groove here. I don't care if it's wrong, just do something different.
Yeah.
Just do something wrong. And, and then if we do it, especially with our company, sometimes we can do stuff a little bit. I'm like, that's a little bit wrong, but let's go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's important to be different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there is.
And I don't want people to see our stuff and expect I don't want people to think they know what we're going to do. We always have to do something that surprises them. And I'm okay to have some of the people go, I don't like it. That's too weird. That's fine too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is something about just consistency and just like, I think you're right. Like I don't think about it as like my favorite one's my next podcast, but I always just think that like one thing can never define you.
Yeah.
Like this is 300 of these, and we've done more like live shows and Supercross companions, and so it's like, it's probably closer to 400, but the one-on-one, like doing the show, it's 300 now, and it's like, man, there's some that have sucked, and I'm just not that great, and it's like, but it doesn't matter. It's like, it's the next one. It's the next. You just got to keep showing up, and it's like the sum is, greater than its parts almost.
I tell my motocross team just, I had lunch with my son yesterday, Max, and I'm just like, we got to just be 2% better. And I kind of tell that all across the board. How do we just keep pushing? We need to be 2% better. I don't want to put, hey, we got to be 10 or 20. I mean, yes, I want to be 10 and 20% better, but just if we can just be that mindset to always being 2% better, even when we're building helmets, it's like, is this helmet going to be safer? And I'm like, it has to be safer or we don't want to build it.
Yeah.
We can figure out something. and it's causing us just to make helmets bigger now too. We need to make a bigger couch for your head,
Yeah.
But you just got to just keep pushing yourself to be 2% better in life, I mean, I try to even do that with my family life. Like, what can I do better today? Can I make the bed before I leave to work? Or
yeah.
Can I, I think it's a good mindset,
Yeah. Where do you think that come from in you? Did you always have it?
I don't know. My dad I ran away from home when I was 16. My dad always pushed me to everything I did with my dad was, and my dad was a pinstriper and letter and everything. And I couldn't, man. My dad was amazing. And I'm like, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
It's like, even like, why are you using black? He used to always tell me this. He's like, just put a dab of green in it. Never use black. I'm like, never use black? Put a dash of blue in it. Just drop the brush in there just so it's different than everybody else's. Never use straight white. Always grab something, just mess with it.
Yeah.
So he taught me always to, basically kind of customize everything I do. Just don't have anybody, if they can look at it, should not be able to tell you how you did it. You need to tell them how you did it.
Yeah.
And just try to make it a little bit different.
Yeah. And that philosophy just kind of like stuck with you over the years.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to keeps pushing yourself. I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing for 43 years here, still painting helmets, and I still love going in. I mean, I almost feel weird when I don't draw a work order.
Yeah.
People go, I don't paint that much, but I still pretty much draw all the work orders for the company.
Okay.
And we only do maybe 12 to 15 custom painted helmets a week.
Yeah.
But to me, just sketching and I don't even work on the computer. I'm a felt marker and pencil guy, you know.
Yeah, right.
And I just kind of you know, I was doing some American flags on some helmets today, and I'm like, you know what, we need to make some different. The flags, we got to stretch the flags, the stars more, and we got to add chrome, and it's pretty easy to. I love paint. I mean, paint is, gosh, it's like the Bible for me, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing like 6 new colors for PPG right now that we kind of invented some new colors.
Oh, wow.
And it's just, paint is the coolest thing because you can just keep exploring with paint. It never stops.
Yeah.
You know, you just keep adding pearls and candies and metal flakes and over the top of silver leaf and over, you know, steel and over brushed aluminum and just keep making pigments. You know, we have fluorescent pigment, turquoises or fluorescent. One color I haven't invented yet that I'm working on is and I don't mind saying it, but there isn't a fluorescent turquoise out there. So I'm trying I can see it, but I haven't got it perfected yet. There's fluorescent oranges and reds and yellows, but there is no fluorescent turquoise. And I'm been working on it for the last couple of years, really, trying to get work with PPG to get the right pigments, and I'll get there. It's a dream come true once I get there.
That's so cool. So what's the process of doing a custom helmet? Like these days, like how does the process work?
I really just, some people have great ideas and some people don't have any ideas. If they come in, I always know the first thing to do. I'll tell all helmet painters out there is people going racing these days, take care of your sponsors first in any category. Because then there's always somebody helping, whether it's mom and pops or the gas station down the street or the heating and cooling place or it's Penske, you know? So like I try to put the sponsors on first and take care. That's always such a good feeling right away. You're going, you know, and then half the people are going, oh, I don't need to take care of the heating and cooling place. They're only giving me $4,000. I'm like, $4,000's a lot, dude. You know, let's take care of these guys. And you see that smile on their face when they see your helmet, they're going to be like, oh, and when you get done racing it, give it to them, you know?
Yeah.
So if you take care of your sponsors, you can keep racing.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I work so hard on my sponsors, you know. I need to take care of Red Bull. I need to take care of Gas. I need to take care of Gabrielle. I need to take care of, you know, the people that help us go racing. And that's it's kind of what I do with my hospitality too. I mean, we are hospitalities, you know, 20 by 20, and we feed usually 250 people that are hospitalities or Supercross, because I'm like, we can't win every race, but we can feed everybody. You know, I try to even bring, you know, we even do like Penske does. We try to bring lobster tacos in, and I want Gabrielle to come eat here. I want the Dunlop guys to come over. I want the AMA guys to come in, and just that small little conversation with them. Yeah. You know, just makes we do have
relationships.
We do have to visit the AMA guys every once in a while, especially having Barcia on the team, you know. So it's nice to go in there and shake their hands and know we fed them the night before.
Oh, that's awesome. And so they come in, the sponsors first, and then
I'll start having fun. A lot of times they don't know their favorite colors, but I guarantee they know the colors they don't like.
Yep.
And so that helps me get there. So it's just trying to build a foundation, and then I sketch it in pencil first. So I kind of look them in the eye and see if they're liking, they're following me, and then I'll show them in.
So you sit down with a person.
Yep.
And you'll do the actual order with the person.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't want to stop that. That's the coolest part.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I do it with all the racers, and I don't do it with everybody from the public because but it's still that's our roots, and I don't want to ever. I mean, I just thought about it really, you know, people are, I thought you were retired. I thought you were going to retire. When do you retire? I'm like, you know what? I really probably don't need to make another jersey or glove or something, but I have to keep painting helmets for the next 10 or 20 years. So I have to have a spray booth, and I can't tell, you know, Jeff Ward or even Shaun Palmer or Scott Dixon or Jeremy McGrath, I can't tell them, no, I'm not painting helmets anymore. I mean, that just can't happen. I have to paint helmets till I'm dead.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And that makes me keep wanting to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, I love Jeremy coming in and saying, Troy, I need a new helmet. I got a new sponsor. You know, Kawasaki and Maxxer are doing this. And I just painted Jeremy McGrath's kids helmets for them for Christmas. I mean, that makes me feel so good to be second generation painting helmets for them.
Yeah.
And just you get to listen to what's going on with their kids and how they're doing and what they're into and what bikes they're riding and what cars they're driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's and usually when I draw something up like that, it turns into production anyway.
Yeah.
So then I just hand it, it gets painted downstairs. The artists are upstairs designing the clothing, come down and go, whoa. It's just like I got done doing some new goggles for Oakley. And then we went, wow, let's paint a helmet like that. And so I drew up a helmet and then I went, wow, let's do a collaboration together. So now I did a jersey and then we did a pant. And now it started with a goggle and a sunglass, and now it's going into jersey, pants, and helmets. And we're going to race it at Redbud because it's red, white, and blue. And then we said, well, shoot, we might as well let's make 500 limited edition kits, And now they just came back today and said, wow, we're going to put that goggle on 20 other athletes that same day around the world. Our mountain bike guys and Sexton's going to wear it. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool, So sometimes it just falls the right direction.
Yeah, that is so cool. And so then I just like the helmet. No, I love it. But so then you go from that drawing process. Are you painting much these days? Like, are you physically painting?
I try not to get too much into the booth because I need to keep drawing. Drawing is what I'm most efficient at. So, so I usually do the pencil sketch first, and then I kind of ask them what colors, whether it's a car driver. We do a lot of car helmets because the motocross helmets, come so nice these days. Everybody's doing a good job, and even, street helmets, but car helmets still come white and silver and black, so, and usually those guys have a little bit of money and they usually have a driving suit and they have a Porsche or an, vintage Indy car or whatever. So they give me here's my driving suit, here's my car. And I just try to make sure that it works with what they got and makes their package look better. It is fun talking to them about how'd you get into this? Your dad raced? What's his helmet look like? A lot of times they'll pull up their dad. I'm like, can we steal a little bit of your dad's? And they're like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. So I try to tie it in where it's a little bit, give their dad a little credit or, get a little history into them,
Yeah. And so the process these days of like, especially with moto helmets, because you're right, like the decals that come baked in are just so good these days. But so it's like a manual sanding process that takes place. Do you do most of that? Is it by hand or there's like tools?
By hand. Yeah, we mask off all the helmet, tape them all off. We have a guy that kind of preps them. And then they sand them down with like 600 or Scotch-Brite them.
Yeah.
Then we shoot a bonding clear down too so that we get really clean lines. And then I'll pass the work order out to I have like 5 helmet painters in there, artists, and I'll hand it, kind of work with who's going to do the most of the work on it. And then the office is right by my office. So that's the most fun, is going out and seeing the helmets kind of start coming alive.
Yeah.
So we'll get like 50% of the colors down after, whether they're candies or fluorescents, and then we'll give it a clear coat, and then we'll come back and start putting the lettering and the highlights and, gold leaf or pinstriping or, sponsors we kind of lay the sponsors out first where they got to go. So that's because I think that's, let's keep. I love doing helmets. It's almost hard to do helmets when there is no sponsors.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool when you get to go, I got to have Shell here. And I love some of the stories, like we got the muffler shop that's going to cover my whole, all my racing. Or the guy owns a muffler shop and he's never thought of putting it's so funny. Like, you don't want to put a muffler shop? No, I don't want my muffler shop. I go, what? Dude, Joe's muffler's pretty cool. And a lot of times I'll end up doing a new logo for him, I'll end up let me clean up your logo a little bit, so then I end up making them stickers and t-shirts and, it just, once you do something kind of cool for them, they, I don't mind that. I go, hey, I drew it up, but it's fine. I want you to use it. Doesn't do any good sitting on this paper, man. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the turnaround for like a custom helmet these days?
It usually takes us a couple of weeks to get them from start to finish, but right now we're about 3 months. We're busy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah. So is that almost like, it's obviously one business, but that paint shop, like the Troy Design custom helmet shop, it's like almost its own little ecosystem?
It's definitely like but I'd say half of our, it's where it starts. It incubates everything. And then from there, like I encourage all my guys not to use PMS colors. We have a paint shop down here, so I want you guys to use, so even on the gear and T-shirts and mountain bike clothing, I think that's kind of one of our secrets. I'm getting out there, but we spray, you know, if we want a mustard, I go down and we paint it, and we spray out 3 or 4 different mustard colors, and then we go dye the fabric to match that. And then usually the helmet's a little more elaborate, so we'll take that mustard and we'll shoot some pearl over it or candies over it or something. But because the helmet always can be a little wilder than the clothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we put the paint samples up on the wall and then start building the jerseys, and whether it's mountain bike or moto, and there's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of our stuff that we design kind of, whether it starts in motocross and then falls over into mountain bike, and then mountain bike kind of falls over into moto, and some of the same designs are on our SE5 helmet that are on our D4 helmet.
Yeah.
And then some of the helmets, like I just had to make a phone call a couple of days ago with Joseph Newgarden. He just won the first Indy Car race. I painted his helmet to match the PPG car, which has a lot of wild colors on it. And then my guys liked it so much, his IndyCar helmet, that we said, let's do a motocross helmet. So we painted a motocross helmet, and then it kind of slipped by me, really. It came in all sampled. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. That's Newgarden's helmet. It's on motocross. And I'm like, dude, I need to call him because I feel bad. I'm like, do you know that we have a motocross helmet here that's with your design? He's all, just wrap your arms around me, do something cool with me. So I made up some stickers this weekend to give him a thermal. But it starts that way. You do something cool for one of your drivers, and then it turns into production.
Yeah, so that's really cool that, like, the paint shop really is like
foundation.
That's where it all starts.
Yeah,
and it's a studio, like it's an art studio.
Yep.
And because to run a business like Troy Lee, the business, the global, you know, it's everywhere, and there's logistics, and there's manufacturing, and there's marketing, and there's so much around.
Oh my gosh, too much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's
duties change, you know, shipping changes,
currency
changes. Yeah,
like
it's just the standards change. You have a special standard for Europe, American standard. It's like, so the hang tags are getting this long, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like our manual that comes with our motocross helmets, and it's like a 1/4 inch thick. I'm like, we're killing so many trees putting this manual.
Dude, that's all the stuff people don't think about, is like there's got to be a graphic designer that is hired at Troy Lee Designs to make the fucking manuals and the swing tags.
Yeah.
Like, it is crazy how much goes on. But it's really beautiful that everything starts in that paint shop. And
it all starts there for sure.
That's really, really cool.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense why you guys have had the continued success that you've had, you know, and it's like you kind of just get to position yourself in that room doing the work orders, doing the sketches.
Yep.
And then that has its ripple effect that goes throughout the entire company.
Yeah, it kind of blossoms in there. That's why I almost feel like I'm at ease here right now going, all I need to do is paint helmets for another 20 years here, and I'll be okay. I'm not going to retire.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't thought about, man, I need a paint booth in Portugal. So when I go over there, I can hire I would love to go over there. I mean, I do have a guy named David that's painting some of our MotoGP helmets in France, you know? And I have a couple of Japanese artists that are amazing. And one of them is going, man, I'm getting ready to retire. I go, dude, you can run Troy Lee Designs Japan.
Yeah.
Because I trust him enough. He's worked for me forever. I mean, he's an amazing. And I'm like, he's like, all I want to do is keep painting helmets too, Troy, but I think I'm going to go back to my mom's house in Japan. I'm like, shoot, just paint helmets there. And if you want to put your own name on them, that's fine. If you want to use our name, I mean, he's deserved it. He's worked for me forever. You know, he's worked for me for 30 years, you know.
Yeah.
But it would be fun I love working with helmet painting artists.
Yeah.
They're amazing, you know, and it's a hard way to make a living. Luckily, what I do blooms into jerseys and gloves and everything else. But just painting helmets is, you know, it takes a lot to do that, you know.
Yeah. It's cool to see you have that moment where like, oh, I just need to do this. Like that's actually like, this is where my time is best spent.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes, dude, even for me, you know, like this is a very small operation by comparison, but you know, I've got staff and we've got all these different, it's just the random bullshit.
Yeah.
That it comes your way and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just got to make a lot of decisions all the time. But like, really, like I know like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
This is it. This is what I need to do.
This is what you're an expert at.
Yeah, and well, I wouldn't even say that, but it's like, this is the thing that makes me the most. This is where my time is best spent.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to know in yourself and your business. Like, where is my time best spent? And then, because it's like, no's are more powerful than yeses.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very hard to say no if you don't truly know who you are or like where your time is best spent. But I think, when you have like that clear understanding of like who you are and what is my actual, like, what's the thing that gives me the most? And it's like, for you, it's the paint shop. And to see how that then bleeds into everything else, like, that's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been good to me. It's been good.
Do you have any favorite athletes that you've worked with over time? Like, I mean, I'm sure, like, guys like Wardy and Jeremy, like, just,
and Palmer and Paul. I mean, people that gave me a start, Paul Tracy. I mean, and then there's always the new guys coming up that you're helping out, But I just like working with athletes that give it their all, 100%, that go out there and just put their life on the line to, it makes me want to do whatever. I don't mind working late or weekends or, and I love going, like, I'm excited to go to Thermal this weekend. I'm going Saturday and Sunday to the IndyCar race to make sure I think we only have 8 drivers, but we have like 80. It's kind of weird. All the over-the-wall helmets for the IndyCar guys are all in our mountain bike helmets, our D4s.
Okay.
So I cut the mouth guard down so they can see the lug nut here.
Yeah.
But they're all, so like at the Indy 500, we have 150 helmets at the Indy 500.
Wow.
We only have 7 drivers, but each driver has 8 over-the-wall guys, and we do all the rescue crew too, the fire crew and everything. They're all in our mountain bike helmets too. So it's kind of cool to go, wow, we got the rescue guys, we got the over-the-wall guys, and we got the drivers,
Yeah. So, man, the Indy 500 is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
That is a crazy race. I went through the Indy Museum last year.
That's cool, huh?
I went and watched it was just one of the NASCAR rounds. Shane Van Gisbergen's a good friend of mine, and he won the race in Charlotte, like the first street circuit that they did, and then he got like another. They're like, oh, you need to come back and try and drive an oval.
Yeah.
So then I went to Indy, went through the museum there, and I was like, bro, I had no idea. Like, I was very Formula One.
Yeah.
Like, I loved open wheel racing, but very Formula One in Australia. That was on free-to-air TV, and like, that's what I watched. But I never really understood just how gnarly it was to win the Indy 500.
Yeah, those guys are going in the turn at 240 or something. I mean, it's like they're flying cars down the front straightaway, man. Yeah, it was. And I helped Jeff Ward go to the Indy, get him into Indy after he quit. We did it. Painted his Indy Lights cars, brought him some sponsors, and see Wardy go race Indy, almost win it one year, and it's he's done a lot. But yeah, the guys I love watching IndyCar, man. I think the guys are great people out there, and just really cool to see how well the teams all work together. Yeah, because it's definitely a team effort. Yeah, you can be off on a motorcycle a little bit and still turn some fat. Your car's off, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, Yeah, the speeds that those guys are doing. It's cool because we've got Scotty McLaughlin. So
we got he's
kinda,
a PPG guy half the time.
Yeah. So we kind of got like a little bit of a horse in the race these days. But man, just an insane sport.
Well, you got Will Power too.
Yeah, true actually. Yeah. I knew Scotty more from like the V8 Supercar stuff in Australia. Yeah. Have you ever painted much for any of the V8 Supercar guys?
I've done a couple of them. I'm trying to think. There was an Australian guy that we did that used to race BMX. I'm spacing his name right now, but I think I met him through Johnny hooked me up. So a lot of our distributors will say, hey, man, this is like I just got done doing Marcus Ericsson's helmets.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool when you have a distributor like in Sweden or something going, oh, cool, you're doing it. I love that crossover, But a lot of times we get introduced to our distributors. We got a driver that's coming over. We just finished Felix Rosenquist's helmets too. It's fun. We got it on his now. He's like, this is where I used to ski, man, and I want the ski lift on there. So we got all the map of the ski lift of. I'm trying to think what it is. he's Swedish, so it must be it's one of the ski lifts in the
Yeah.
Alps or something that he's got. And so all the ski lifts all the way around his helmet with a Swedish flag through it,
Yeah.
So
Have you got any kind of areas that you want to go into that you've never got the chance to work in?
I've never done helmets for the astronauts yet.
Space. So space is where you want to go. I feel like you could make that happen.
Yeah, it'll fall into place sooner or later, I think,
NASA helmets, eh?
Yeah. I mean, they wear helmets and they go fast, so we should be part of it.
Dude, that's the best answer that you could have ever given, dude, because you're right. And guess what? They're all white.
Yeah.
Like the car helmets.
Yeah.
So like they need something.
Yeah. Should do something with them.
Dude, Elon, surely. Like let's get it going.
He's awesome, man. That guy just cracks me up, man. Shoots a car into space. So that's so cool.
What do you think of the new Cybertruck from a design front?
I like that he took a crazy chance on it. I look at it, I'm like, I want to fix this, and this. But then I just saw one go through Laguna Beach that was all black with black wheels on it. And I'm like, that's pretty tough looking.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be people that just like, and I'm not saying maybe it's perfect and I'm just wrong, but just when you see it, you're like, just soften that edge there, or just make it a little, change a little bit. But I love when people make something totally different because it takes balls to do that. And
on a huge scale,
Yes.
dude. Like you can't make
And
it.
you know how many people told him that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, we're doing it.
Yeah. It's I think it's going to be cool to see the way that people customize them.
Yeah.
Like I've already seen a few of them with like that, some flares, some like really big
Yeah.
4-wheel drive tires
Yeah.
and like roof racks and shit like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that he almost just gave people like a blank canvas in a
Yeah.
sense. Like the other
Yeah.
Teslas were very finished cars. That almost looks
Like,
unfinished.
let's put some pieces on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those guys, the adventure guys, are going to wrap their arms all around that thing,
Oh, for sure.
I saw that, Rivian just bought I don't know if they bought it or not, but the Laguna Theater has been shut down forever. And it's weird how the car companies are selling cars now. I mean, if you would ask me 5 years ago, are there going to be car dealers in Laguna Beach? I'd be like, no way. And they have Rivian bought the theater and they display their cars and they show adventure movies at the theater in Laguna Beach.
Wow.
It's like a whole nother, and it's right on the beach. It's the main old theater that's been shut down. So he just totally turned that around and put cars on display, and they're got surfboards and tents on the top of them. And then you go in to see an adventure movie in the theater, and we don't really want to just go over and go to you really don't go to like going to car lots. I don't, you're like, unless you just, and when I go in there, I go, dude, I don't want to stay there for 2 hours. I want to I know what the car I want already, and I want to get out of there,
Yeah.
So I think it's genius a little bit. Pulsar has a dealership too, with just 2 white cars and up the street. I'm like, even when I go to Fashion Island, they have Lincolns inside one.
Yeah.
And they have, they're like, wow, car dealers are going to our malls now.
Yeah.
Because that way people they're already shopping. They can swing in, touch it, feel it,
Yeah.
and see if the vibe's right,
Where's Rivian from?
I think Michigan.
Okay.
RJ is the owner of it, I think, and CEO, and he lives 3 houses down from me.
Yeah, because for some reason there was like a link between Rivian and Laguna. Like I feel like there's a lot of them there as well.
Yeah, no, and it's when they just showed their new vehicle, I think the R2 or something, or R3. Dude, the town was just packed with Rivians. It was crazy.
Really?
All accessorized too, camping stuff all over them, and just
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they're everywhere. There, we actually went through. Took my wife to Laguna first time. She's never been there. But yeah, they were everywhere, and I was like, "Are they from here? Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah, he's got a house there, but I think out of Michigan, but I think they're doing a good job. Really tastefully done. I know they're doing some stuff. I'm supposed to design some logo or something. Do something where they're going to give some to the ranch. Have you gone to the ranch in Laguna Beach?
No, what's that?
It's cool. It's my friend Mark Christie owns it. It's a golf course, 9 holes, which that's all I can play.
Yeah.
18 drives me nuts, but he's rebuilt the whole place. I lived on a camper when I was a little kid behind there for a while, but so it's kind of fun to do the new logo for the ranch, and it's got a cool restaurant and everything too.
Yeah, right.
Cool place.
How big is it? Is it like a par 3 or is it like a full size? The holes are full size?
Well, holes are full size, 9 9 holes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of all
cool.
you need, to be honest.
Yeah, it's great. And on Fridays, he does one club or 2 clubs and a barefoot,
Yeah.
which makes it so it's not so serious. So it makes it fun.
Do you like playing golf?
I don't really, but I'm starting to. I can do 9 holes, and my son's playing a little bit, and Puma's been sponsoring us on Cobra too, so they're sending me some clubs, and so I'm like, I got to keep trying. I got to keep trying it. It's frustrating.
It is hard.
Just when I think I know what I'm doing, it's just like, where'd that ball go?
The thing about golf though is you only need one good shot per round.
Yeah.
Like you nut one. And you're like, oh, dude, I've got this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a golfer.
Yeah.
And then the next 78 shots that you hit will be complete dog shit.
I like playing with just the 7-iron.
Yeah.
We've been doing that just 7-iron only because it's pretty fun. I feel like I'm getting the 7-iron kind of figured out a little bit.
Yeah. Tin cup style.
Yep.
How has it been watching Max work with the team?
It's been good. Yeah. It's been a big learning curve for him.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he went from, racing to then to doing all the athlete clothing and working with, all the riders for a couple of years doing that, following the team, and then to be a team manager. It was a big jump. And all of a sudden he's got, 14 headaches, he says,
yeah,
dude, I got 14 personalities. And I'm like, you got to take care of Pierce. You got to take care of the family behind it. And you got to take care of Barcia and his family and the truck driver and the cooks. And so it's been I think he's getting a little burned out on it. He's only been doing it for 2 years here now, but it's been a great learning curve for him. But it's definitely, I feel like he wants to come back in the office a little bit, to be honest with you. His dad, he just told me like last week, he said, man, I want to do what you do, Dad. I want to do more art and work on product. And I miss him. I mean, I go to the races a lot and see him, but it's a bummer not having him home on the weekends to ride. And he flies out every Thursday and comes back. And, we definitely, we have dinner once a week and ride mountain bikes once, but we were doing it a lot more, but now he's on the road all the time. And it's tough. It takes certain, you're jumping from rent-a-car to hotel and rent-a-car to hotel and airplane. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's, man, the people that do it for a long time too, but there's something, it's funny. Like, so my wife never, no Supercross, like nothing. She's from Russia and she's never had any exposure to any of it. And we've went to a bunch of the start of the Supercross series this year. And it's funny, like even she was like, oh, I think I'm actually going to miss going to Supercross. Like she comes and she helps in the press conference and she like helps me do the limited work that I do when I'm actually at the races. But it's funny, like as tough as it is and as like monotonous and repetitive and stressful as it is, like there is a weird sense of family and community in it as well that kind of keeps you going back.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it when I go because you go, you get to go see 20 of your good friends again, I mean, it's cool. I used to paint helmets for Larry Brooks and half those guys out there, and you just walk through the pits and how's it going? Good to see you. How's it going? But the part I don't miss is the hotels and the airplanes and the rent-a-cars and standing in all the lines. But once you get there, it's amazing,
Yeah. Is it profitable to run a race team in 2023, 2024?
I end up losing a little money every year on it, but we get so much marketing out of it, and I love it, and it makes our product better. Yeah. Because when you're building product for
the best,
you just make better product. You go, hey, let's. It's weird because some of our product now, our high end stuff, is not our most durable. It's like we're dressing the racers from the inside out.
Yeah,
putting them in, putting knee guards on them, and taping their bodies all together, and chest guards are all underneath, and then you put a coating over them,
over the top. Yeah.
And they put lingerie over them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had that conversation in France. It was just like the gears almost like tear offs at that top level. Like it's got to be so functional and so athletic now. That it's just a completely
even
different.
The gloves too. Everything, they just don't want any protection or anything, just so they can move the fingers super fast.
Yeah. So there's like an acceptable cost that a race team can like incur on the business, because like obviously in business, if you lose money, it goes against the tax that you have to pay. So there's like, it becomes a write-off in a sense. But yeah, it's valuable on a marketing level and also an R&D level. So it actually doesn't need to be extremely profitable.
Yeah, but I know like Penske and Chip Ganassi, those guys make money racing, you know, and we really don't. I mean, I try to make sure it breaks even. If that's always my goal, to break even. But I work, you know, every week I'm working on it. You know, me and Max are working on it, which is great too. It's good. You know, we're calling sponsors, who's coming in, who do we, you know, how do we take care of hospitality, get tickets at the back gate, and you know, you always got to be. I just sent out. Me and my daughter just sent out some sponsorship letters yesterday to some new people here. You know, everybody in the team has been using Snap-on tools. We've gone through a couple different tool companies, but they're like, these guys are like surgeons. They only want to use Snap-on. So we sent a letter to Snap-on, said, let's see if we can bring these guys on board to be a great sponsor.
Yeah.
You know, they build beautiful tools.
Yeah. And so you're personally writing those letters and...
Yeah, me and my daughter Carly and Max are kind of, and Tyler too. He used to run the team, but I brought him, and he's in charge of marketing now, so he's doing a really good job.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law Bill Keefe works for me still, and he handles all. He kind of oversees a whole bunch of stuff, all logistics and warehousing and all the stuff that I don't have good answers for. You know.
Yeah. That's cool though that you guys have kept it in the family in the way that you have.
Yeah, it's been, a lot of people say it's hard to work with family, but gosh, I think there's definitely sometimes it's hard, but I mean, I always trust my family.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What, do you have any secrets to working with family?
I got a good family to start with, so that makes it easier.
Yeah. Have your family not be dickheads.
Yeah. No, I mean, sometimes you got to say, okay, you win this one, I win this one. Because it's like, you know, I just saw that with Max. He just told me, you know, that Barcia's been having some trouble with his bike. And you know, one of the races, Barcia crashed twice. And I just heard it from Max. And I didn't really get to talk to Barcia on it. But, and Max is saying, no, it's Barcia. And Barcia's saying, no, it's the bike. And then he says, well, we've agreed that we disagree.
Yeah.
We've agreed that we both, you know, disagree. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So, you got to kind of, you know, I think it's kind of like a marriage, you know, you kind of go, okay, you win this one, honey, next one's on me, you know, so.
Yeah.
Because you're never always going to agree, you know. Yeah. But I think the good thing is, you know, Bill grew up racing, you know, my brother-in-law Bill grew up, we raced together both for Mitch, so. Yeah, we're kind of the same mindset there. And then his kid Tyler raced, and he ran the team. And now we put Max in there so he can grow a little bit. And Tyler's overseeing marketing at the company. Yeah. And we just hired John Eric, which gave me my first factory ride with KTM. Yeah. So pretty cool to turn. You know, I looked up to him going, "Wow,
he's a great dude."
Yeah. So he's my new CEO. Yeah. He's in France right now, working with our French partners, and he's been awesome. Yeah. I think he's really turning the company around here because he just you know, he's an avid mountain bike and motorcycle racer, and that's what it takes. You know, you need someone that really eats and breathes it, you know?
Yeah. John Eric's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I mean, a lot of mega accomplished guy, but just as on a human level, you know, like he's just a very, very good dude. We got to speak at the team launch actually, and I knew him from my early days filming with the KTM. Like I did a bunch of filming around KTM, so I knew him from when I was like a 21-year-old kid, you know? Yeah. And he's just a really great, like a mentor kind of guy, you know, like at any point you can have a conversation with him that will really inspire you and and I think, you know, for a CEO of a company, like that's kind of the guy that you need. You know?
I'm feeling super lucky right now here, man. It's made my life a little, you know, easier because it's hard for me to turn off sometimes. But when you have somebody that good in there, I'm like, it's easier for me to turn off, you know. Yeah. And, you know what? He's going to make better decisions than me in there. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, he's been the CEO of he was KTM North America. Yeah. And he was him and his team, obviously, like Christy as well. And the people that he had around him, they made some amazing decisions. Yeah. They built that brand to be an amazing brand over, what was he there, 10 years maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long, but it It's so funny how things come around though. But I thought a hell of a lot of them on when he was working over there at KTM and Husky, and to have him back working for me now is dream come true,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and he's also quite passionate in like the other areas that you guys are in too.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge. Is it hard to like balance the like spread of, you guys are so successful in mountain biking, so successful in moto. Like, is it hard to manage like being essentially like a top tier brand in two different lanes, or do you think that there's actually quite a lot of cross pollination to where it isn't that big of a deal?
Probably both. I mean, it's both of them. A lot of the gear is really close to the same. Some of the helmet technologies are the same, so we use a lot of the same stuff because they're traveling the same speeds. And then it's really weird, but both moto athletes and mountain bike athletes really, aspire. Oh God, the mountain bike guys want to be motocross guys, and the Indy Car guys want to be these. I wish I could ride a motorcycle like that. So all that really connects. So a lot of the same, I feel like sometimes I'm designing stuff and I'm like, I'm not sure if this is going to go towards IndyCar or go towards motocross, and I think they can all live in each one. Sometimes just even some of our gear that we're doing and clothing, same designs, but we just go, you know what, this is for mountain bike. Let's just, instead of this being fluorescent yellow, this goes to mustard and goes to a tan all we do is flip some colors a little bit, and it's a perfect fit for Seminuk for Rampage.
Yeah.
And those same guys follow Supercross so much, so they're like, they'll call me and go, "Is it okay to wear a moto at this race? That gear is so sick." I mean, it used to happen with Sam Hill all the time. We'd launch a new polka dot outfit in mountain bike and moto on the same weekend. You know, so it's fun when you do it like that.
Man, he's just another freak of freaks, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Like one of the nicest, coolest people, but like what a freak athlete that guy is. Like the run that he went on in mountain biking, like another guy that just changed the sport.
Yeah. And then to go into and do enduros and just kill it in that too, Amazing.
Yeah. You've worked with some of the best.
For sure.
Like it's the roster of people. Like, I don't know if you've ever written out a list, but like, Jesus, that would be a list.
Yeah. Some good people for sure. Yeah. And I think working with all those people, I mean, I think I try to learn something from everybody, and I think I've learned something, and I try to work with them too. I kind of say, we feed off when you work with somebody like Jeremy McGrath or Shaun Palmer. There's definitely things that I've learned from both of those characters, or Jeff Ward, or, Scott Dixon, or, those guys have gone through, sometimes those guys have gone through hell and back, Yeah. And there's been times where they've had to make some big choices, bigger than some of the choices that I have to make, and it's just good to listen to how they keep moving forward, like me and Jeremy McGrath talk about raising kids right now,
Yeah.
He's like, how do we, we've both been successful, and how will we teach our kids to be good people and to make the right decisions, and to work their butt off, I worked with my wife this morning. We're talking about going, how do we don't just hand everything to our kids and make sure that they're quality kids and they're going to raise quality kids,
Yeah, because that's like the dichotomy of success in a way, right? Is because like so much of, like for me, I think the drive that I had, like I come from a really small town at the very end of Australia. There's nothing there. There's nothing going on, and I think just not having things as a kid, and like all I would watch every Terra Firma and every Krusty Demons, and I didn't have any of those. I never had the D2 helmet, know, and it's like that drives you. Yeah, I never had that helmet. I wanted it my whole life, and 25 years later, I'm sitting here talking to you. You know what I mean? And it's like,
I should have brought you one.
But if you get that helmet, do you end up here?
Yeah.
And it's like but then, so you spend your whole life, and I would say I'm a successful person at this point in my life, and it's like, then I have kids as a successful person, and will I give my kid the D2 helmet?
Yeah.
If that's the thing that he wants, but then does that cost him the opportunity to
try harder or whatever? Yeah.
That's a hard thing, because a lot of the things that make people successful in their life is the hardships that they go through. It's like, how do you bend but not break a kid? I think about it all the time. I don't have kids, but I think about that all the time.
I'm dealing with it all the time. I mean, even my son Dylan, me and my brother didn't get our first bike till we were like 11, and we got a used Schwinn, and we both shared it.
Yep.
He had a banana seat, he'd ride on the back, or I'd ride on the back. We had one bike, and my son Dylan's probably like on his 10th bike already here. I mean, he's racing downhill and cross country this weekend. He's just turned to Cat 1, and like, he's deserving it, but it's like, dude, the guy and he has my connection, so he calls Mike Sinyard from Specialized, and he's talking to them. I'm like, how'd you get his number? He goes, well, I'm told him they put the wrong derailleur on this bike, and next thing you know, they're sending me a new one, and I'm like, you can't just call the president of Specialized, Dylan, just because you have my phone,
Yeah.
But then I crack up. I'm like, he doesn't even know any better, man. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what? And then they talk for a half hour on the phone. It's pretty funny.
It is. I mean, I think that is hard though, like to find that balance. And I wonder, like, you just almost have to force them to go through hard things. I mean, like Max right now, like, dude, he's getting an education.
Oh,
like
sure.
he's that's to the fire,
Yeah.
like that's a hard thing. I mean, don't envy being in that position to be
he
young.
just told
and,
me, he goes, I think I'm done. I just want to clean windows. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
He goes, I just don't want to have to deal with any personality. I go, you don't think someone's that come out of the house screaming at you didn't clean their windows right?
That's so
But
true.
I think one of the most important things in life is raising great kids. That's, I think, is probably one of the biggest pressures on me. I do feel like that I'm successful in business, but my main thing is I want to make sure that I raise great kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, my mom still, chews me out every once a month, going, dude, you need to spend more time with the family. You're on the road all the time. And, or she's just, telling me to slow down and smell the roses. I'm like, okay, Mom.
Yeah.
She's 83,
Yeah. Man, it's funny. Like, I think even our generation, like for me and my wife, we sort of talk about kids and I'm like, I don't even know if I want kids, but everyone that has kids will say that it's like the most important thing in their life is to like raise good kids.
Yeah. I think I thought before I had 10s in my life. And then when I have kids, I'm having 11 and 12s. I mean, there's definitely times that I'm going, what am I doing? But when your kids, my daughter surfs all the time and seeing Max in there with the headphones on running the team, and when it's like he's got an orchestra going, and I do, I like to put my kids' pressure on my kids. My son Dylan just got his Cat 1 license this weekend and he's going to race his big cross country. And I'm like, whoa, man, I'm just thinking about it, and like, it's me when I turned pro motocross. It's like, after I was winning everything in intermediate, and when I turned pro, I didn't win. I can only win small local races, I never won anything big, but it's like, and I was thinking about how he's going to be able to handle that. He's going to go out and race this Cat 1 race this weekend at Vail Lake. And I go, there's 108 kids in his class or something. And I'm like, wow, you're going to be lucky you might not break the top 50,
Yeah.
And it's going to be years of pedaling hard but he's excited to move forward. And this is what makes people great and strong.
Yeah.
And putting pressure on him makes whatever he does in life I think he's going to be better at it.
So you think that having kids like takes your life from 10 to 11 and 12s?
I've had definitely, yeah. There's definitely times where when you see, my daughter surfing or my son that brings a tear to my eye, which that wouldn't normally. I'm like, wow, I'm so proud of you. This is awesome. Or even like Max, running the team now. I go and he really wanted to be a motocrosser, but I'm like, I'm really proud of you, dude. And you got 14 people that you are directing here right now, and you're on center stage, and
a lot of pressure.
You got to do the right thing, and when things go bad, you got to go in and talk to the AMA and sort it out, and listens to both sides of the problems and try to come out and resolve it. And it's been a tough year with with Barcia and the suspension. I think they're getting it figured out here now, and just he's now in trying to make Pierce Brown a champion. He's working with Ryder DeFrancisco, and he's like, how can I make these guys better? Am I getting the right trainers for him? Am I giving the right testing? Am I giving, you got to stand back and make sure that he's got the right mechanic, and it's got about all the pieces that, you need all the right pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to hear you say that. Yeah. Cause I definitely think about it. I'm like, man, do I want to just do I want that? Like, do I want that in my life? But yeah, I guess everyone that you do talk to says that like there's obviously something there.
Start out and raise a good dog first.
I got a good dog, actually.
You got a good dog, then you're ready for a good kid.
Yeah. It's funny, Like, my dad always said that kids are like dogs. Like, if you can, and you see some people that have dogs and their dogs are just absolute shit.
Yeah.
But my dog, he can walk, doesn't need a lead to walk, and he's like, he can go to anyone's house. So yeah, maybe.
Well, really, Max was named after, we had a lab named Max, and it was a good lab. So he said, good dog, let's name the kid Max.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah. Is there anything left on your bucket list, you reckon? You got anything that you want to tick off?
Nah, I'm pretty happy what I'm doing. I just I think I'm still pretty much doing the same thing, It's pretty amazing to go through life drawing work orders, basically picking up pins and sketching helmets, and 40 something years later, I mean, I'm really stoked the thing that's really cool is to be able to, I never thought I'd be able to buy a house in Europe. So to live in Laguna Beach and to have a house in Europe, I think it's it kind of balances me out a little bit,
Yeah.
Seems like just it's nice to have a little bit of, I feel like it makes me a little more worldly and look at things from a different perspective when I go over there and stay there for a month and slow down and come back. You can get caught up in this. Everything's, Southern California it's got a lot of horsepower and a lot of things. And when I go over there, it mellows out a little bit. So I think it's a good balance for me. I want to figure out how to I want to keep doing painting helmets, which seems crazy. And I know that shouldn't excite me, but it does. And I'm still excited about doing it. So I just feel like in the last couple of months, I just kind of realized that I just want to keep painting helmets for the next 20 years and I'm okay in life,
Yeah.
Keep raising my kids and, I think I've pretty happy with what I've accomplished. But I'm sure I am working on some stuff that I'm really excited about with Ford. I can't really say, but we're working on some pretty cool projects here that, I'm working on a couple things I'm working on like 5 new helmets right now, which is super fun too.
Yeah.
But I think I have more resources around me than ever with factories and testing labs and all that kind of stuff. Cause I care about all the racers that I put in my gear and helmets. And when someone does get hurt, I do see a lot of helmets that are coming crushed with blood in them and everything else. And I'm going, oh my God, are they okay? What?
Yeah.
And and it's most of the time, 95% of the time, 99, we get a letter back from him and he's going to be okay. He's good and everything else. But God, some of these helmets are just tore apart, crocked in 5 or 6 pieces. And I'm just like, oh my God, how did the guy live through this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's gratifying to work on, even chest guards and knee guards and all that kind of stuff and keep using the new, D3O components inside of it and slip systems and, MIPS has been really good. And it's great working with great companies.
Yeah.
And all the new materials that they're using and stuff too now, some of the NEMA and carbon fiber. And we're getting big enough now where we're weaving our own fabrics and stuff.
Oh, sick.
So it is nice when you do start to do a little bit of volume. You get to use laser cutting and welding and some pretty tricky materials, and I love materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when you say about California, like we'll go to Dubai for a few weeks and then go back to Australia for like, I'm not sure yet. Mm-hmm. Although it's like, there's part of me that's just like, don't leave, just stay here, keep grinding. Yeah. But like, I've found myself over the last few weeks being like very stressed, very like just frazzled, like I'm trying to make everything happen. And it's just like, it's just momentum. You just end up just rolling downhill. And it's like, it's really hard to even notice that you're in that state.
Yeah.
And then let alone stop it, but it's funny. Like, I'm going to go to Dubai. I'm going to take a few weeks and I'm just going to chill. Yeah. And it's like, you're right. It's a different culture. Eat all the different food, like be around different friends that are different, they're Muslims. It's Ramadan right now. Like, there's these different celebrations that we'll go to. And then to go back to Australia, and it's like, it really does help to like change your perspective, because you can just get so like momentum. It's the right word, you know, like you just snowball and snowball and snowball. And I mean, if you're not going in the direction you want to go when you're rolling downhill, like it's pretty hard, you know.
Turn. Yeah. That's what I like about it. That's why I like having the house over there in Portugal. It's just a whole nother chill factor here. It's like, woo. And it's like, you know, I have 80 something employees. So it's like, it's like when I do want to talk to them, I do get an idea. Sometimes it's almost frustrating me, like everybody's sleeping.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, okay, I'll just get up and get on my mountain bike, just go for a pedal, you know? So, I'm in a good spot right now, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I've loved this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much thanks for being the 300th guest on this show.
Yeah, super
and
stoked.
it's a really cool moment for me to get to do it with you. So
cool. Thank
being
you.
a lifelong fan of what you've done, and I'm very keen to keep being a fan of the brand and keep seeing where you go and where you take it.
Hopefully I can blow you away somehow, you know, do something, pull out some new things here that you're going, no way, Troy's doing that. That's bitching.
No, hey, I guarantee that will happen.
That's what I'm all about. See if we can keep changing the world a little bit. Cool.
Legend, mate. Thank you very much. We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.